Steve's messing me up though because he's got his video up. Steven. Hello, the internet, and hello, welcome to the pre-show segment of the evening. I'm just pressing go live on a bunch of other stuff over here. This is the section of the show where we can just have a little chat. But before we do that, I'm gonna play. Oh, some of these alarms going off, as is tradition. Hey, Steve. Can you hide your little video there, buddy? Oh, there he goes. Okay. Where's the video for this? The audio. Oh, he's back. I'm gonna do the game. So if you want to just turn off your video there.
Oh, sure.
Cool. What's it called? This audio called poster game. Okay.
Congratulations. You have successfully guessed the correct answer, which is the answer you provided. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Oh, it looped.
You
Awesome.
have successfully guessed the correct.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is, of course, the pre-show, as I mentioned. But what I like to do is we have this game that we play every week on Instagram, where I put up a piece of the poster, and people see if they can guess it, and then I read out their plugs or their messages. I moved it off the main show because it kind of is just me talking for like 10 minutes. So I figured we'd just put this in the pre-show, and that way I can do my sort of, my self-promotion and my call to action and my shout out to White Bat Audio, who was he's playing this music that I turned off for some reason. There we go. Everybody is here. They're just silent. I think Steve doesn't have it set so he can talk. He's just outside of the realm. There we go.
I'm here.
Hello. Okay, so this is a quick one because nobody really knew this one this week. Because
I mean, even if you know the movie, the poster is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. So this will be quick. It's fine that we're nearing the time, but. So Gordon McDonald got it again, as he usually does, and he just wanted to say, here at NASA, we all pee the same color, which is, of course, a line from the movie. Ouch, was that a ghost podcast? Got it again. They said, I'm fine, no message, I'll be back playing next week. Crying smiley face. So, gotcha. I read it anyway. Stu Hayward and Julia Claessens got it again. Basically, Julia never has a message and lets Stu talk about his open mic in Halifax and Dartmouth. So he wanted to say you can follow him on at Stuart Anthony on TikTok and Instagram. And he runs an open mic comedy show called Pint Size Comedy every Tuesday at the Celtic Corner in Dartmouth. Also... Oh yeah, he sent me a message on WhatsApp that he wanted me to read too. Let me see if I can find that really quickly. Oh, here. This is what he wanted to say. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we're making magic here tonight, folks.
Oh my.
Yeah, you're welcome. Craig Webster, friend of the show, former guest of the show, wanted to say, have you done the dishes? Really? Are you sure there's not like a dirty pot in the sink right now? Don't forget to clean that. And also maybe run a vacuum once in a while, you filthy pig. So he's just, attacking our fans, which is fantastic. Thank you for that. But he also, later he was like, actually, scratch all that. Can you tell Caitlin that my son loves her videos? And tell Noel that although my son has no idea who they are, I'm sure he'd like them too. And also his wife Pam would like Caitlin to play Wheels on the Bus. But you can leave that part out because she didn't guess the movie poster this week. So there's that. You don't have to do that. Please don't feel obligated to do any sort of kids song on the show. Right. And Sam Campbell, who was on the show a few weeks ago, wanted to shout out his podcast, Is It Camp? Comes out every Saturday, and they're in the middle of their Pride Month programming.
Fun.
All right. Also, the picture on the screen was the picture I had up, which is like, I don't know, you can see, you can see Dr. Waterworld there himself.
Dr. Waterworld in space.
I've been watching Waterworld, because I've never seen it, and it's basically Mad Max in the ocean, and also they say Waterworld within 4 minutes of the movie beginning.
This truly is a mad, mad, mad Waterworld.
Exactly. But with that, I'm going to flip this over to this, and I'll put us... So now you can all start your camera, and then when the video starts, we'll all be on the stage.
Bing bong.
Yeah. Perfect. We'll just give Noel 2 seconds here to make sure they're good to go. And I'm just going to check one thing out.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Steve.
Noel's saying they can't get in.
I didn't know if I
Yay! Yay!
if I
Right
would
here.
respond.
Add
Anytime
me to the
someone,
stage.
yeah, I added you to the stage. Anytime someone says that, Jason, just check that they're added to the stage.
I can't
okay.
add myself to the stage.
Yeah.
The stage.
Oh, it does work on TikTok. Sick. Okay. Are you guys ready to do a podcast about the hilarious comedy Hidden Figures? The
Hilarious.
I laughed
extremely...
quite a bit during this movie. It's got some funny zingers.
It is very sweet. Okay. So I'm going to do a little countdown and a little talky part. Then we're going to play video. Then I'm going to introduce everybody. And then you looked over the sheet. I assume you're ready to go, Caitlin. You're good.
Me? Sure.
Yeah.
I did. I also listened to most of the Hook episodes. So
Sorry, you put yourself through that. Welcome.
and then I watched Hook.
That's what Steve said. I was like, "Oh, did she like
Yeah.
our episode?" And he told me that you responded with, and then I watched Hook. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I had a lot of things I wanted to say. So now I'm glad for the opportunity.
There we go.
awesome. Okay, we're gonna do this then in 5, 4. Gather around, freaks. It's Thursday night again, and I guess that indicates that we are, of course, going to gather around the internet fire and the internet radio and talk and listen and just share each other's thoughts and feelings about some movie. We'll find out what movie it is here on. Hey, did you see this one?
In a world where society tells you to doubt your strength, question your intelligence, and dim your light, we search for voices to tell our stories. Voices to empower us, uplift us, and keep us heard by the masses. These are the voices of powerful, resilient, and talented women who aren't afraid to speak up and speak loudly. Women who teach us to be brave, to be vulnerable, and to believe in ourselves. So, Hey, Did You See This One? Invites you to Feminist Masterpiece Theater.
Oh yeah, that again. Classic every time without fail. Oh, hello. Oh, I didn't see you there. I was gonna make a I didn't see you there joke, but then I botched it. So hello and welcome to Hated to See This One, episode 139, season 2, episode
So many
39.
episodes.
So many. There's too many. I think I'm going to delete some of them. Start over. My name, of course, is Jason R. Phillips. I'm joined always and forever. We're linked at the hip by my co-host Stephen Fredericks Waters.
Close, but that's
and this week we have two people who are much better to represent the face of feminism than me or Steve. It's Noel K. and Caitlin Claessens. Are you going to be on the
Welcome.
cheers and jeers? Here, I'll just do it. Here, welcome.
Thank you.
Crank the cheers.
And the reason I say that you all are better suited to talk about feminism because it is, of course, Feminist Masterpiece Month. Feminist Masterpiece Theater. Last week we covered Clueless, and this week we're doing an even more hilarious comedy, Hidden Figures. The film where three
Do you want me to
women...
recap it? Do you want me to
Yeah, I think before I put my foot directly down
really
my throat.
quick.
Noel, yeah, why don't you give us the sort of recap of this film in a
The
new segment I'm
manifest?
calling Recaps.
This is really short. Like we're tidbits, like manifest. So Hidden Figures follows 3 Black NASA employees: Dorothy Vaughn, who runs as the time used to call it, the colored computing department, and becomes a Fortran specialist. Catherine Goebel / Jackson, who's a brilliant mathematician I got their name wrong. A brilliant mathematician who is assigned to calculate the trajectory and the return of John Glenn from orbit. And Mary, who is an aspiring engineer whose last name I think I just mixed up with someone else's. Anyway, this follows their challenges of living and working in segregated Virginia and experiencing prejudice from their white colleagues and the men in their own communities.
History.
Oppression all the way down.
Good job, Noel.
Yeah, thank you, Noel. I think that's going to be a thing that we add to the show every week. Because...
Oh, I was going to say, where are the cheers? Cheers for Noel.
Yeah, I'll get better at it. If you guys listen to my other podcast, I do some incredible recaps, but they're hockey movies, so it's more my comfort zone.
Wow.
Right.
The plugs are at the end of the show, Noel.
Oh, sorry.
Have you done Mighty
Wait.
Ducks?
I'm a woman. Yes,
Yeah, Jason, way to
I'm
talk
a
to a woman
woman.
within the 5.
I am allowed to big myself up and self-promote. Okay, carry on.
That's true. Right. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Caitlin. You, of course, are Steve's friend. And your target audience is typically the younger crowd, the under 3 crowd, I believe it is.
Yes.
So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule of entertaining children to come entertain adult children who listen to movie podcasts.
Mhm.
I'm sure that the IQ level is similar. Your kids might be smarter than the people that listen to this show. And I think starting off the show by insulting your audience is a really good way to do things. 140 episodes in,
They won't remember. They're so young.
Okay.
I didn't mean the children. I meant the adults that do actually watch this.
No, they're smart. They're smart.
So smart.
But thank you for coming back as well, Noel. Noel is doing a bit of a residency. They'll be here all week showing off their amazing action figures, cats, dogs, and this, that, and the other. It's a special
That's
month.
So much going on here.
But I'm a dude talking during Feminist Month. Oh, what else is new? So let's move right on into our brief history.
A brief history.
Around here, it's a time-honored tradition to give our guests the first opportunity to give their brief history. Caitlin, why don't you give us your brief history of this movie? Basically, just tell us about when you saw it and what it means to you, that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. Could I just ask before we start though, Steve, is that your voice doing all those things?
Yeah.
I was cheers and jeers.
There's a
There's
lot
so
more
many.
of them.
If you
There's
listen
so
to If you listen to my podcast, he also does the sound clips.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's very talented.
I'm everywhere.
A little too talented, in fact.
Oh my god. Guys,
Calm
make me
down. I was trying to remember the first time I saw this movie. I don't know if I saw it in theaters or not, but I must have seen it when it came out pretty recently after it came out, and I liked it. And I thought maybe people would be surprised at how much I've seen this movie. I've probably seen it like 4 or 5 times. And I watch it on planes a lot. When Steve asked which movie I wanted to do and gave me a couple options, I was like, oh, I just watched Hidden Figures on a plane, which is sometimes an interesting choice to watch a movie about space while you're in the air.
Well, you're closer to space.
Yeah, I once watched Gravity on a plane, and I kind of made a hard and fast rule where I was like, do not watch movies about flying or planes in a plane. And I forgot Hidden Figures had that in it. So I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's my brief history.
Great.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah, I have a similar rule. It's don't watch plane crash movies on planes.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
I
I've
watched a
past.
plane crash once.
Say more.
Yeah, the year was 2001.
Oh,
God.
geez.
No.
Steven.
What?
I'm leaving.
Too soon?
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I had, that's so strange that you mentioned that. I had such intense 9/11 dreams the other night.
I mean, it's still with us, guys. Never
I
forget.
don't know.
Yeah.
I know,
wasn't-
because-
it was in the 90s. I was 5 and I watched a plane fall into Lake Ontario.
Oh,
So
wow.
I watched 7 people die, and I've been afraid of planes since.
Wow.
Well, it was hilarious. We'll have to really just.
our comedy podcast.
Dark
It's
history.
crashing.
Well, how will we ever recover? Oh, it's Noel's turn to tell us about their brief history.
Okay. It's a cat ice cream sandwich. Okay.
I do enjoy that.
I had not seen this movie. I had heard of it. And I had heard incredible things, and I'm just really bad at not watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine over and over again. So when it comes to watching new media, I tend to be like, I drag my feet. So I only saw it in full this week, and it was exactly what I thought it would be, and I loved it. So everybody I know has been telling me to watch this movie as well. And unlike the times where people are like, you should watch this, you'll like it. And I'm like, I probably won't, like with Love Actually, which is my least favorite movie. And everyone's like, you like Pride and Prejudice, you'll probably love Love Actually. And I'm like, no, not the same thing. I don't even like Four Weddings and a Funeral, but this one I actually did like.
All
How are
right.
those movies connected?
What do you mean?
Pride and
people
Prejudice
tell you
and
to
Love
watch-
Actually. Keira Knightley, is that?
Oh,
that might be,
yeah.
That might be the only thing.
They're like British, I think.
Oh.
British people.
You just have Bridgerton on the brain. I messaged Noel to come hang out with us like early. They're like, yeah, we're watching Bridgerton. So
I have a copy of Sense and Sensibility with me right now.
Cute.
that's kind of on. That's kind of why you're here. You're kind of a book learning person. Just before we go off your brief history, did you end up finishing the Hidden Figures book, movie to book
Oh my god, I
adaptation?
cried so hard. It was like it's 21 chapters, I think. I got 4 chapters in from last night at 11, so barely. But it's very different. Like the book is like a work of nonfiction,
Mm.
and like the movie is very loosely based. Like there's we can get into it, but yeah,
Okay.
it gave me like a vibe for it, and I can speak a little bit at least about the author, which is so I should have given myself more than like 4 hours.
Yeah, maybe.
to
That's how long
read
it
a
takes me
book.
to read like a couple of chapters.
One chapter.
Yeah.
Cool.
All
Thank you, Noel. Steve, your brief history with the film Hidden Figures.
I mean, I saw a lot of this movie on TikTok, to be brutally honest with myself. There's a couple of sequences in this movie that were they went viral on TikTok like last year, and then they kind of resurface every once in a while. So I'd always been interested in watching it, and it was on my watch list for a very long time. And then once we decided to select it for the show, I was like, do I want to watch this now or should I wait? And I decided to wait because I wasn't sure I was going to love it, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be one of those movies that makes me feel really bad. So I was like, I don't want to watch it too many times before. But then I ended up watching it twice this week because I watched it once and I loved it so much, and then I watched it again last night. So yeah, that's my brief history. TikTok got me interested, and then actually watching it got me even more interested.
TikTok a force for good? Question mark.
No,
Question mark. Question mark. Question mark.
It has its merits. What's up, TikTok? We're live on TikTok tonight. I've been kind of.
I mean, I love TikTok. It's amazing.
I've been toying with different. We're on Kick. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere.
Dang.
It's
now
just
everyone knows that I watched a plane fall. So
yeah. I want to know more, but we can talk about that offline. This is already
I can
kind
tell
of
you make and model of the plane, exactly what happened. I actually became
Oh,
an
no.
aficionado on plane disasters. I can tell you like major plane disasters and like regulations that have been changed because of plane disasters. So if you're doing plane disasters month, I would like to be the artist in residence again for that.
We've
All
discussed it.
We
We
have.
have talked about it.
We've done 2 already. The Edge and Castaway.
Castaway.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
For me, it's very quick. I remember when this movie came out, I watched the trailer for it, and the trailer did such a good job at explaining it that I was like, oh, okay. That's not really in my wheelhouse, like biopics. But I do like all the actors in it, and I kind of regret not watching it back then. My wife actually went to see it in theaters, she told me. We were married at the time, so I don't know why I don't remember her doing that. But she really enjoys this film as well. So my brief history is more my wife likes it, but watching it today, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a gut punch kind of a movie or like a feel good movie. It's kind of both, you know? So the way that I've been kind of describing it to Steve is it'll be like uplifting moment, sweet moment, pan over to a coloreds only sign, gut punch. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those, which is good because it's educational in that way. It's kind. I'm watching Lovecraft Country right now, and it's got the same kind of vibe. Obviously, Lovecraft Country is 100% fiction, sci-fi.
Wait, you telling me you don't believe in Cthulhu? Come on, man.
But it's the same kind of thing where it's like normal ass things are happening, and then they pan over, and then horrible racism is real. On top of that, I didn't think that I didn't think that it was going to like stay with me the way that it did. So this is what I'm going to be thinking about, and I'm glad that we're talking about it. I think it's an important film for people to watch. It's kind of like it's like the first manned spacecraft to orbit Earth, which I think there aren't a lot of movies about. And
American. The first American.
Right. But this also...
Did you watch the beginning of the movie where the Russians were doing it?
Right. No, I was like, I'm only going to watch the second hour of this
That
thing.
big sickle and hammer, those are the Russians, Jason.
My point though, is that there's not a lot of movies about this, but to have it tie in with like the civil rights movement is really cool. So that's my brief history. I watched it yesterday / today.
All right.
Super brief. But with that, let's talk a little bit with the director and.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit. Sound, speed, action.
So, I will say that this started as just talking about the director, but this segment is sort of expanded into talking about, how this is.
Paul Verhoeven.
But yeah, we're going to talk about Paul Verhoeven.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
This is sort of expanded into more of talking about like the budget for the movie, what it made, that kind of stuff as well. Any moments of the movie cinematographically. Nope, that's not a word. That you may have enjoyed. The cinematography, that kind of stuff. And also the fact that it is a book turned movie. Not the other way around, as I joked before, but nobody got it because I said it really fast. But yeah, Steve, do you have some? And Noel and Kaylin and myself?
Not
is a
really.
podcast. We're all here.
The director has not made a ton, so I thought we could maybe talk about the book a little bit more, or the writer of the book, if Noel has anything.
I think
to talk
Saint
about.
Vincent is the big one. That
Yeah,
he's
that's the
done.
other
He's
director
also
of the movie.
directed. He's directed a few commercials as well.
Yeah,
but he does have, like, he is known in the industry.
He did the Starling, I'm reading on the internet, which I watched the other year. It was fine.
Yeah, I've never seen any of his other work, is what I mean to say. So I don't have any way of saying.
I
these are
too
good.
have not seen
Yeah.
any of his other work. So,
but I
go
mean,
us.
this is great. This movie's great, and it's recent, so maybe it'll do something. And the Starling you've seen, Caitlin, and I mean, I assume it's good. It looks good.
It's fine.
It's about a bird.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. There's a bird.
But did we say what his name is?
Spoiler.
Oh, right.
Theodore Malfi.
Theodore Malfi.
Theodore Malfi.
So he also co-wrote this along with Alison Schroeder. So we have our first woman mentioned here. To note, these are both white people.
Yes, they are.
And one thing that the director Theodore said, so he was criticized for having a white savior character,
right.
Which Kevin Costner's character, it fits that.
I was gonna
that general
talk
bill.
about the white saviorism all throughout this movie. It feels a little
put a
bit
pin
like
in that. So he was
Yeah.
criticized for that, and then was very upset at the criticism and said that he grew up without color and that we can't talk about things being black films and white films. Things are just films. So kind of your basic I'm colorblind kind of answer, which is exactly the kind of answer you would not want from a white director when confronted by like a black critic about their movie. So like that doesn't take away from how good the movie is. And I think like I would say nothing negative about the directing, and like a lot of the script is really beautiful. But you know, just close.
Yeah. For sure. And I think like you said, to respond to that poorly to a critic who is responding from like a lived experience, it's like, hey man, this is how I feel about it. He's like, you're wrong. Okay. Here at NASA, we all see the same color. Okay.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of being like, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I don't see color. It's like textbook, not what you say on a public forum when but he made this movie. Some of the producers behind it, Pharrell is one of the producers. So that's
what
really
I wanted to
cool.
mention.
Oh, is that why there's lots of his music? Was that his music in the soundtrack? A lot.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is really good.
It was a bop. It was bopping.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that during this segment too. I really like when they do a movie, a period piece, but they use modern music. It just kind of bumps it up a little bit. Music of the era would have been fine, but it kind of adds like a hip edge to it, you know, that it keeps you engaged a bit better. And this wasn't like a boring movie.
No,
right?
And they do both, right? They have music of the era and modern music.
Yeah.
And they also have a really good score. The orchestral score is really good too. Yeah.
Their diegetic music is usually contemporaneous to the 60s.
It also has like, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but it had this sort of like Disney-esque note to it when something really wonderful is happening.
It's on Disney Plus.
Right. When something really wonderful is happening, the music reflects that. When something sort of contemplative is happening, the music reflects that. And then there's themes throughout that ties them all together. And you don't really get that a lot anymore, like at all, because everything is really dry and realistic or super intense. Like Nolan, I watched Oppenheimer recently, and there's like 5 or 6 montages in that movie that just feel like extended music videos featuring Albert Einstein and Oppenheimer and like a black hole or whatever. And that kind of thing, it's so intense that it takes me out of it. Whereas this reminds me of sort of like a comfy chair from the 90s where I'm like, this feels good.
I've always thought of this movie as a feel-good movie. It's one of those movies I would put on if I want to kind of feel good and have something going on that's stimulating, but also don't have to think too hard. But this time watching it last night, I was also very tired, but there was moments where I was like, is this cheesy? Is this... I never thought that before when I would watch it on the plane.
One moment springs to mind. It's when the mom is talking to the kids about them doing the nuke drill, and it feels super unserious. Because she's trying to like sugarcoat it a bit, but the way that it's
talk about that too.
The way the scene is like framed, it's like it like Steve said, it feels very like family comedy.
But I like that though. It feels like Caitlin was saying, it feels a little bit hammy. Like
it's
give me a little bit of mayonnaise on that ham sandwich. You know? Like I'm okay with it if it's good. If the sandwich is good, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. I love like a soaring score under my like, you know,
when appropriate.
Underdog female protagonist. Like.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say this movie.
Hold that thought, Noel. Steve, do you want to thrust us into the body just so we can?
Well, we're still kind of talking about the structure of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Go ahead, Noel.
No.
I agree with you about the Disney quality because I'm thinking about the live action like Disney movies that would be featured on the Disney Channel but weren't necessarily Disney productions. Like the first one that comes to mind is Cool Runnings.
Right.
Which had that same like swelling music and like you put it on to be happy. This one, like it makes me sad at the beginning and then I'm like yay, and then I'm like oh but reality, so like
yeah,
a bit of a roller coaster
for sure. I think it is kind of back and forth in terms of the tone, but never so much so that, you know, the moments that make me uncomfortable as a white person, I'm never like so uncomfortable that I'm like, this movie is making me feel bad about myself. You know, like even though these types of movies should make you think about these things, I never feel overwhelmed by it, which is good. And I feel a little bit, I feel more in the shoes of the characters in which it's affecting, rather than thinking about the implications of the bad characters that I should be being like these evil fuckers.
Yeah. So Melfi did mention that there's a reason that you have the white savior. Well, he didn't say white savior, but there's a reason that you have like the good white guy and then kind of like patriarchy, the man like characters. It's so that no one's all bad and no one's all good, and people can still feel good about themselves while they're watching it.
Right.
So that's very intentional. And I think you would not necessarily see that if the people behind the camera were Black. And I think that's a very white lens thing to have put that tone in without the subtlety. Because I would say with all love, and this definitely has to do with the people behind the camera, not at all with the actors, and definitely with the writing. This movie does what Titanic does in that it's emotionally manipulative.
Right.
Like
I also love Titanic.
I love
manipulate
Titanic too.
me.
I love Titanic. I love the love story. I'm a first VHS person, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it takes you in a particular direction. Like the movie knows where it wants you to go, and it takes you there.
I like that. Give me a bossy movie. Tell me what to feel.
That's what makes it so like you can just kind of sit back and let the movie carry you.
Yeah,
right? And that's a function of enjoying movies.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, like, I'm not blind to it as well, right? Like when I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, this is constructed for me to enjoy it and not feel terrible about myself. If I want to feel terrible about myself, I'll watch, you know, something a little bit more intense. I guess now we can go into the body.
Well, I do have one more like thought about the actual cinematography of this. Not yet. Now look at me. I'm the captain now. Captain Phillips here.
We got it.
I didn't.
just because my name is literally Jason Phillips.
Oh,
I get it now.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you for explaining it further.
Caitlin's like, this guy's an idiot. Wait a second. He's slightly less than an idiot.
I was also like, ooh, can I go to the movie podcast and only talk in movie quotes? Can I? I was like, I'm exhausted just thinking.
I think that we did that once when we first met, like way back. We would try and talk to each other in just movie quotes, and it was so strange.
Okay.
I mean, for everyone else, it wasn't strange for us.
No,
we were cool.
My best friend and I literally only talk to each other in like we have 3 movies. We have Zoolander, The Wedding Singer, Wayne's World, and we just kind of rotate through absolutely every line of that, and that's how we communicate.
The pre-meme videos. Add in Austin Powers and Borat and Anchorman. You have all of them.
Oh Jesus!
My wife.
Those are
Jason's
my wife.
Yelling, my wife. Oh baby, yeah baby. And what is it? what's the whale's vagina? There we
No,
go.
no.
Yeah. Fuck
you're
you,
right,
San Diego.
No,
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Austin Powers as well, because I realize I say allow myself to introduce myself all the time, and laser beams. Okay, carry on.
I
So
wanted to
interesting.
just-
I'm just sorry. I just so many questions about how did these movie quotes get used? You know, my movie quotes are functional. You know, it's like if I need a knife, it's like I need a knife. I need a knife. That's from Titanic.
Well, do you remember when we went?
And
to that
I say that's not a knife.
This is a knife. You've played knife with Spoonie before.
Do you remember when we went to that cottage a couple of years ago, and I was in the bathroom and I was yelling, "Who does number 2 work for?"
Yeah, see, functional.
Yeah,
functional.
Oh, they work.
You just
They
have to
work.
force them to
You
work.
just have to have my life.
It's making
and
you work.
You have to watch planes fall out of the sky in order to get them.
I like how that's the
right.
callback for this one. It's gonna be funny. Just before we go into the body episode, I do want to talk about the amazing cinematography in this movie for some certain scenes, like when the women are walking across these amazing backdrops and they have these giant shots of them looking small in front of like various space equipment. I thought that stuff was really cool. And I really like how they show how big a computer was in 1961. Right. It's a whole room. And that part where like they're trying to bring these like servers in, which are I'm in IT, so like this is the kind of the beginning of IBM is some stuff I want to talk about during the body, but he has to literally break down a wall because these servers are so massive and they're run off like punch cards, and him busting down the wall and just like the framing of these wide shots I really enjoyed. I thought that was good, and I thought that would fit more in the director talk.
They call it the IBM 7090, but I believe that the one is actually a 7094, so it's the wrong IBM model in the scene than the one they're referring to.
Can it play Far Cry though?
No, that's an outdated joke, Jason.
I don't know what that is.
I'm almost 40, so
Captain Phillips.
That used to be like the game that you would play. Can it play?
It was the benchmark in like
play Far Cry, and then it was like, can it play Crisis? And it was like,
yeah,
can it play?
Maybe it was actually 7094. Anyway, there's a discrepancy between the 7090 and 7094. Blah.
The one thing about that scene though is that he's like, use the big hammer, right? And then they use the sledgehammer. Why wasn't he using the big hammer to knock that sign down in the bathroom later on? That's my question.
I have so much to say about that scene, so we will
in the body of the episode.
Yeah,
put a pin in that.
I mean, there's a lot of cinematography in this movie I'd like to talk about as well, but I mean, we can also talk about that during the body as well if we want to bring it up as we go.
Can I just say the acting is incredible?
Yeah. Even Kevin Costner.
He's
known for cowboy movies now.
Seriously, every single time I was like, oh yeah, that's Kevin Costner. Like I kept forgetting as I was watching it, so I'd be like completely jump scared by it. But it was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, Best Picture, Director, and Octavia Spencer was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
And I remember that being a big deal because she's been a character actor for literally 30 years and hasn't really gotten her flowers. And although I would have liked to see her win an Academy Award or you know in the future do it I remember being a big moment for her because she's been in everything forever.
Imagine if this movie lost to La La Land, but instead it lost to Moonlight. Thank God. If it had lost to La La Land, I would have both Moonlight and this movie.
Yeah, that would have been.
Oh, was this the year of that weird controversy where they said the wrong movie?
That's the one.
That's the one.
Interesting. It's surprising that this director hasn't done more stuff after receiving those accolades.
It's probably because of that answer he gave during that interview.
Yeah, he's like
what an outdated answer you've given.
Yeah.
Well, it was also. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna just make a Spider-Man joke. It's a Spider-Man reunion. Kirsten Dunst and Octavia Spencer are both in Spider-Man. Yeah, she literally is a person who's like, "What's your name?" Spider-Man, and then she writes his name down as Man Spider. That's like her whole entire role in that movie. That's it. But Sam Raimi puts her in everything.
I don't remember that movie. Kirsten Dunst was also one that I was like, I did not know you were in this movie, and you are so hateable in this movie.
Oh yeah,
she plays it super well. What a character!
She's great.
Yeah, she's got a real sour puss in this movie. She's always kind of She just looks
Sourpuss,
like
is
fed
that?
up.
Are you being offensive? Is that because
No,
she's
like
a
her
woman?
face, sourpuss. You know. Oh no, yeah, okay, sorry. Sour
Also,
face.
Also,
Got a
I'm
real
Sour
warhead going on. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'm surprised
I'm
nobody called
cheesing.
me on
I'm
this,
joshing.
but Octavia Spencer 100% has 3 Academy Awards.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure she's won some, but I didn't.
She won the.
I didn't want to go against Captain
I don't believe in
Phillips.
the Academy
You can.
Awards.
Steve.
so I
Steve's
recuse
here to
myself.
shut me down. That's like his #1 role, and he was like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
I
okay."
don't really pay attention.
Like I'm
to the
pretty
Oscars.
sure I've seen her cry while holding an Oscar.
I'm looking at it right now. She won in 2017, 2018, and 2012. It doesn't say in the movies. I'm not going to go further because I want to say what the budget for this movie was. It only cost 25 mil, and it kind of shows. There are some parts that are a little bit, they were focusing on the acting, but it made $236 million.
Wow,
Pretty good.
A lot of money.
Yep. It was
So
one of
we're-
the most successful movies. And 2016 was kind of a weird year where it felt like we still had a bit of hope for the world. And then
It's
very
like the last-
quickly, all like the absolute last breath of like maybe.
Yeah. It's like the last good year.
We started choking on hair dye and suntan lotion or whatever.
It's when it was
There-
revealed to us that we were filled to the brim with microplastics.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
your
all
ears.
are Teflon. I did want to say one thing about the budget making money back thing. There were charity screenings, they rented out, what's the word, they bought all the tickets for a thing and brought school groups in to see this movie. So there was a big move to bring school groups to be able to see this movie. So I think some of the actors actually paid for several theaters.
Cool.
For
It is
people
like
to
an
just go in and
important-
see it.
It is an important story, and I remember how drastically short the sort of space history that we would get in primary school was, and then even through middle school they didn't really focus on it all that much, and then in high school it was you had to specifically want to learn about it outside of regular history courses in order to learn anything about it. It's like space stuff just gets buried. They tell you about it for 1 year, and they'll take you to the planetarium, and they're like, you just need to know the planets, and that's it.
I think
Kind
it's
of like
more
an
important
analogy.
in America than it is in Canada. Because the one thing I learned about was the Canadarm and a couple things that Canada has done, like the Mars rover and small things like that. But I think Americans feel much closer connection to the whole walking on the moon and being in space
Right.
thing, considering that
Except now half of them don't believe that they went to the moon.
haha.
Damn.
My
But they
husband's
didn't. They
American.
didn't.
We can go get him and ask him.
yeah, go ask him. But I know
Hey, do you believe that Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing?
I
What
have a
shape
bear
is the
behind me.
Earth?
Where is it?
Just test him.
There he is.
My entire knowledge of space was pretty much Armageddon.
Right.
What I
Star
learned.
Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those
I remember
space
nothing.
movies are man in space, one woman.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe.
Well, that's
So
also
this is
history, isn't that just
Yeah.
what has happened?
man in space, but then
oh, wait.
also woman.
Mhm.
Well, Gravity.
This movie,
woman
this
in
movie
space.
proves women have
Sheep
a lot to
woman.
do with space,
Yeah, of course.
just not in it.
They pushed all those astronauts out of their vagina. Yeah.
That's
They
true.
birthed them.
And also out of the orbit of the Earth.
That's what I thought.
I was like, why is no one
With the
finishing my
math.
sentence? Why are they going to make me say vagina?
Oh my gosh.
All right. Should we get into the
There we
body,
go.
folks?
Yes,
Yeah, let's talk
get
about the body.
in there.
save the children host from saying
Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
So
Ooh,
as a side note, my friend Craig, who I mentioned earlier, who watches your stuff with his kids,
Hi, Craig.
he's like, I'm gonna. Oh, he's gonna love that. He was very much like, I'm gonna tune in tonight because I want to see Caitlin say all the bad words.
Cool.
You said
Thanks, Craig.
vagina already. That's he wants
I
you to
don't
say the
know.
real bad
That's
one.
not a bad word.
I know it's a joke, but
It's feminism time.
hell yeah.
If someone isn't saying
Uh,
vagina, what are we doing here?
Did we say vagina once in the Clueless episode?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I to make up for it. You have to
I
say
yelled it at the
vagina.
end, I think.
But
Vagina.
children's hosts say all sorts of things in between takes. I mean, I can't say them here in public, but
Oh my goodness.
Didn't Blippi
believe
get
it.
in trouble for like having a life before?
oh, it's another
Okay,
story.
you know what? Let's get to the body thing first.
Yeah, Elmo's controller was not a great person. Anyway, so this is the body of the episode. This is, of course, like the podcast of it all. This is where we sort of we traditionally ran down the movie sort of scene for scene, but we're gonna kind of stray away from that. I'm gonna have my eyes on some notes of where we are in the movie, but feel free to just talk about whatever. Have at her. I liked the soundtrack of this movie. It opens up with some great credits. Octavia Spencer is in it. You guys like
Slow down,
spaceship?
Jesus. The fuck are you doing?
Well, the opening scene is pretty impactful. Like the little girl who like the school is pooling together in order to send her to.
Is that true? Can we fact check that?
That part I don't know. I know some other things that aren't true, but I didn't look that part up. But that was very movie. That felt very movie to me.
Yeah, when the tetrahedrons are like coming off the wall and she can do spatial math, like
you know what reminded me of?
like an
Queen's
X-Man.
Gambit.
That's exactly what my husband said when we were watching. He was like, "Oh, it's Queen's Gambit. It's happening."
Right.
So like that was very sweet, but I thought like you're really in it and you're like, oh, okay, we're in the movie. When they're in the car, it's just that scene is so funny when the police like their car breaks down and Octavia Spencer is trying to fix it and there's shenanigans and then the white cop shows up.
We get like a good understanding of their three character
of
types
the dynamics.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
one of them is a wizard. One of them is
one of them can do anything.
One of them's a nerd, and the other one's kind of like a
paladin.
She's like a prickly. She's like, she even like her facial features and like her eye. She kind of like squints a lot, and she's got like this sort of like prickly attitude, and it immediately shows like right away when the cop comes up. She's just kind of like pushing the cop around, and everyone else is like, shut
and they're
up.
telling her, like we're not going to jail for you or anybody.
Yeah.
See, that's a Wayne's World reference. So.
It's happening.
Mary Jackson is Janelle Monáe. She's the one that is the sassy one, I would say.
Yeah.
Like Janelle Monáe is pretty incredible. She was in Knives Out, Glass Onion as well, right?
Yeah, she's really good in that.
She's absolutely incredible.
Amazing performer. Like she's a star of stage and screen, but also like a recording artist who's done very well.
She was that first, wasn't she?
She was. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie. I just love watching her. She's so beautiful. And the way she talks, it's like her voice is so silky. It just sounds so good. Ugh.
And like even when she's not the main focus of a scene, she's always doing something in the background that is either very funny or like compelling enough that your eye is drawn. Like maybe even to the detriment of certain scenes where you're looking at her because she's doing something that's interesting, You're like, oh, she's making some choices here, and I like it.
Yeah, even though
you can like tell she's a singer and a mover,
right?
Yes. Yeah. And even though her character goes through some really tough stuff, like she feels not like a comedic. Oh God, I lost the word. Not comedy relief. Oh my God.
Your brain's broken. Too much Bridgerton on the brain.
Yeah, I gotta finish that. No, she's just there to relieve the pressure of the scene.
Yeah. I think that like as we go through the movie, we learn that they all kind of get what they are out to get to a certain degree, but her in particular, her in particular is she's going further out of the way to work for what she's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two are gaining what they're trying to get, but they're doing it more so along the lines of the rules. I mean, especially for Catherine, she's following the rules, which is, I guess, her whole deal is that she's very a stickler for the rules. Octavia Spencer, not so much. She's like, I'm going to steal a book if I have to, and I'm going to sneak into the computer room if I have to.
That scene was incredible.
She's trying to get courage.
Catherine Goebel/Johnson. So I called her Jackson earlier. It's Mary Jackson then Catherine Johnson.
Rose is trying to get a brain, and the other one's trying to get a
Dorothy Vaughn. Well, with Dorothy and Catherine, it's more they have to jump through the hurdles of like the interpersonal situations, and like they're actively with people who are bringing them down. Whereas Mary Jackson, the people who she's working with, like the space engineers, believe in her. Like the speech where the engineer's like, why are you a computer? Like, you have the mind of an engineer. You should be one. And she's like, well, I can't. And
I'd
he's
already
like, well,
be.
yeah, I'm a like a Holocaust. My parents were Holocaust survivors. Like, and look, I'm here doing this. So she's supported there, and then not supported in her family, where the other two feel like they're supported in their family. So it's interesting. It's a nice little foil. You get to see a little bit of a difference there. But she in real life did not have to petition the courts in order to take those courses.
Oh, she was able to take those courses.
Yes.
Oh,
Throw it out.
Well, that's a great part of the movie. That speech she does to the judge.
It's so good, yeah.
So
and
good.
like they have to heighten it
Be
in a
the
movie
first,
way,
because,
right?
yeah, it's like you'd be the first. I'm the first.
Yeah, it was very movie-ish, so it's not surprising, but it doesn't take away from the impact of the scene in the movie.
Like Catherine's
that
speech
part did
about the
move me.
bathroom also didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all the big speeches didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in the reality of the climate of the country at the time, making speeches like that would probably get you thrown out of the courtroom, and
yeah.
It wouldn't be as easy.
It wouldn't end that way.
And also,
she makes a great point at that point when she says, like, you know, I'm gonna have the first American go to space after she ran down all of his firsts. I thought that was a good sort of analogy
you were the first guy
for
to go to college. You were
for that era. And what I couldn't help but think was, like, at this kind of turn of the civil rights movement where Black people were being allowed to do more stuff, it seems so silly when the racism is like, you just can't do that because you can't. Like, nobody seemed overtly racist during this movie. A lot of the time they'd give Black people like a strange look, and obviously there was overt racism through that, but a lot of people were being racist and didn't really know why, because of the generational change that kind of was happening at the time, where younger people were sort of taking control, and it seemed a lot more like the rules were in just place, but people wanted to change a bit. And like when she walks into that classroom and they're all just like, I'm just stunned, and the teacher's like, okay,
to learn about stuff.
Yeah. Well, the context of this is so this is after Brown v. Board of Education. So it was said that segregation was not, like, separate but equal was not a thing, unconstitutional, can't do that. But Virginia, like, and they even say it in the movie, it doesn't matter what the federal government says, it doesn't. In Virginia, we have these laws and we're still segregated. And that's that's so ingrained. Like, I think the best way that the movie showed it was when Octavia Spencer's character is talking in the bathroom with Kirsten Dunst, Mrs. Mitchell. Yeah. And she's like, like, Kirsten Dunst's character is like, I don't have anything against you, like, you people, basically. And Octavia Spencer says, I'm sure you believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of many good disses. There's so many good disses in that movie. Line. That's probably the biggest mic drop of the movie, because
but that's like, exactly it. Yeah. It's the I don't see color that then Melfi says later.
Of course,
like another version of that. So the prejudice is just there. And Catherine Goebel herself, or Katherine Johnson herself, said that she never felt the overt racism, but she knew it was always there.
Right.
Just the way it is.
And I mean, again, like, it's a movie, so we have to have it, especially in terms of like the narrative structure of this movie, and it does make it more compelling, and it makes the fight for what they're trying to get that much more powerful, and it makes the fact that Sheldon brings her a cup of coffee at the end of the movie is so much. It's so much more satisfying.
Just refer to him as Sheldon.
Well, that's his name.
The villains of this movie are racism and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
So the character from the Sheldon guy plays the
Jim Parsons,
the man,
Jim
racist.
Parsons,
plays Paul Stafford. But there was another thing. Oh, right. In the book, what I did get through, it sounded like Langley was a much more integrated place than most of the rest of Virginia. And like it wasn't out of place because you had all the like computers. Like calling people computers is so weird.
It's so weird,
Yeah.
but it's also like
It makes
weirdly kind
sense.
of funny.
They,
didn't-
at that
computers
time
didn't
they
exist
were
yet.
computing.
They were computing.
computers.
But also, like when I was growing up, there was a meme going around of like the GI Joe memes where the guy was like, "I'm a computer," and in this movie, it's like they are. They're like, "I'm a computer."
Body
Okay.
massage.
Yeah, exactly. The body massage gang. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult topic to do and still make feel good, like you were saying. So the Disney-ishness of it there is that we get to watch the movie as white people and not feel horribly uncomfortable the entire time. But also in reality, it didn't happen even in the way that the movie is presenting.
Right.
So
yeah.
in order to have somebody's discomfort felt by the audience, we need devices in order to show it literally, like the coffee pot and the bathroom and all of these things. And it also just, like I was saying, like it makes Sheldon bringing the coffee cup to her at the end of the movie that much more satisfying, having him bring her a cup of coffee when at the beginning of the movie he didn't even want her drinking out of the same pot as him, right?
Yeah, so the context is that she drinks out of their, like, the coffee pot of all the men in the area, and then the next time she shows up, there's another one that says like colored on it, and it felt to me just by like the vibe that it had been Jim Parsons' character that would have done that, right?
Oh, I
like,
didn't put that together, but that's a good insight.
I mean, there's also like this is also the confusing aspect of his character is that I never really truly felt that he was disliking her because she was a woman or because she was black. I felt like he was just mad at her because he didn't like that somebody was checking his homework for him. He's like, no,
it's like she's
That's like on top of
she's
everything.
better.
that's what I
think.
mean. Like, that's
Yeah.
part of it. But then to go out of your way to make a coffee, to like get a coffee pot and do that, that's saying like, because you are black, you are going to be treated differently. Like, that's very much pointing out like, this is something that we have on you, right? Like, maybe
something we can do, if we want to.
Yeah, like, because I
cover
can't bring you down in like, you're smarter than I am and you're better at this, so I need to punch down in some way. And so like that's racism.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it was that weird goofy
Then
looking
they still
sidekick.
nail it.
Yeah.
The guy that had this face on the whole time.
Yeah, that guy. Maybe it was that guy. Maybe he was their true racist. He doesn't say a lot.
There was a lot of bookends, like you were saying, the coffee cup. So one of the main points of the movie is that she has to run from the fancy space program unit, where she's the only black person and one of two women.
Yeah.
She has to run from there to basically like half a mile or a mile to where the black women have their computing.
Where they have their bathroom. Yeah.
The
like
West
exactly.
Campus.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Thank you.
I think 30 minutes of this movie is just running back and forth
Yeah.
between the two places.
Even that nerd at
which
the
is
end.
like I'm still entertained because there's that Pharrell Williams
exciting.
running song. I'm like, oh, what's excited? And the stiletto heels.
Yes,
There's so much clacking, and I feel like stiletto
The
heels are
Foley
almost
is
their
really
own
good.
character with as how they're like hindering women. We have to wear these heels and wear certain clothes. And
she gets stuck in the grate, right?
Janelle's Monet, it gets stuck there, and then Catherine has to run back and forth in her heels, kind of like, oh man, what an extra terrible thing they've done to women.
I like that they gave us a short ticking clock in that moment where she's got,
no
like,
shoe
10
is worth
seconds.
your life.
Yeah.
And then they give her a countdown like 10, 9,
And then they
you're gonna
show
die.
it, and it's just this perfect stream of like one small stream of air. I think she would have been fine, is my point.
I don't think so,
sorry.
Jason. That's just the visible wind.
I think
It's
the
an entire
whole
tunnel of
capsule,
wind. Yeah.
the capsule, like
You're right.
broke.
It blew up, from
And
the pressure of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Jason, are you one of those
sorry.
guys that thinks that you could kill a lion if you had to?
Yeah,
I could survive.
She would
the
be
wind somehow.
fine. I'm
I
gonna
choose
live
the bear.
forever.
the point
I
that
choose
I
the
wanted to make
bear. No,
is
of course not. I would
that-
I would crumble under that situation. I just thought it was a funny
Noel has a
juxtaposition that they
point.
gave her the ticking clock, and then when they show it, they just show, you know how they put the smoke in so you can see where the wind is going.
Yeah.
It was just such a small wind stream. I don't know. I thought it was a funny way to show that.
the bookend
the budget.
to the running is that at the end, it's the man who's running who has to do the run. And she was doing it, like you said, in the heels and like doing it back and forth. And he's like winded when he gets there. And she was doing calculations like as soon as she got there. And I was
And
just
in
like,
the
ah,
rain.
like
One
a
thing that-
movie. It's a
one thing that I
planted payoff.
Yeah, it's also that's like the dweeby character who always is kind of like the second fiddle to Sheldon, but like he's always around, like he's always kind of lurking in the background, but he's the one that has to hand out the folders to everybody. And the one thing that like upset me the most is that I think that he's the one that made the coffee pot, because when he goes into the room, he bursts open and he's like, Catherine Goebel, and she's like, it's Catherine Johnson now, and like he walks into a room. He's been working with this woman for like a year. He doesn't know which one is her in this room full of women. Come on, like that's.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that he's racist because he walked into the room
because he can't tell
he's
the
been
difference.
working with her for a year, and he walked into a room of women and couldn't figure out which one was her. He like called and didn't know her new name. He's the bad guy. He's the evil one.
I mean, I think the racial
playing
tensions
Spot the
are there for
Racist.
most of the characters.
You just don't like.
I'm also
you,
just
you,
being
you don't like
goofy.
that guy. I don't like that guy.
I don't like that guy's wormy face.
He did have a wormy face. That's real. He had a very weird.
But I mean, he
like,
was working with her.
slack
He was
look.
in the room with her for.
He has
an
a wormy
entire year.
face.
Yeah,
Kirsten has a sour face.
yeah.
Listen,
Everybody's got a face.
before I forget, everybody was doing a great Virginia
Kevin
accent
Costner
as
has
far as I
has
could
a
tell.
handsome face.
Kevin Costner fucking hit it out of the park. Kirsten Dunst is like a pretty good actor, but like her Virginia accent felt like it was coming and going. I don't think she put in the work. Also, she looked like she didn't want to be there or something.
It's a sourpuss. It's the
Yeah, she.
Well,
I think her character also didn't want could sense her incoming doom, like the impending doom of her position at NASA. Was like,
I think her character was very stressed.
Yeah,
was very stressed out.
Yeah. There's that punching down thing, right? Like, I believe it was Zora Neale Hurston who wrote that the person who gets punched down the most is the Black woman, because you have different levels of punching down, and at the bottom is that Zora Neale Hurston is a very famous Harlem Renaissance writer. And in this case, like the woman is like the white woman is not an engineer, not like she's in the computer, like the East Wing is like where all the white computers are. The only thing that she has to like the only people that she can punch down to are the Black women, right?
Yeah.
So like these are the streams of the tensions that you get there. So
and it's crazy.
I think you're right about the impending doom thing, because from the
Yeah.
beginning, like she knows more about the computer. Like Octavia Spencer's character learns about it kind of incidentally, but she asks Mrs. Mitchell for more information, and Mrs. Mitchell seems to know it all. So she's in the know of we're about to lose all of our jobs, and as a woman.
Yeah, I mean, Dorothy learns about it because she's a Snoopy snooper.
Yeah,
she
and
snoops
likes-
around,
likes
and
engineering
she
computers and stuff.
yeah, she's a Snoopy. She's got a Snoopy face, and she's got
I just
silent
want to say
shoes.
that there's a real parallel to computers kind of taking their jobs to the automotive industry being taken over by like automation, and now AI is going to end up.
Oh, you
just
want me to talk
boring.
about that? You guys want me to talk about that for an hour?
As an illustrator artist
who lost their job to
does-
AI?
Yeah, like there's a lot of that in this that they don't really cover, but they kind of gloss over in a way that makes you like very aware that they're worried about this. And the fact that there are no human computers anymore, there probably weren't human computers anymore 4 years later after this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they barely kept
At the end of the credits, all the computers were gone.
Yeah.
Even like their computing division or whatever, within the context of the movie, I'm not sure exactly in reality how this worked, but Dorothy covered herself and then covered her entire team,
taught them all how to use
basically
computers,
teaching them how to become
Don't bring your
program.
calculators. You don't need them.
Yeah. So
Which is
taught them
something-
Fortran.
which Kirsten Dunst's character didn't even have the opportunity to do, but she also didn't take that initiative to learn it herself, right? So it's like she covered an entire sector, which was able to then transfer over, which then made just the white computers obsolete, which is, you know, shitty for them, but they should have stole a library book or taken it out legitimately, I guess.
At the end, there were the white
yeah.
women compute. It's so weird because like my brain is like a computer is an object, and I'm like the white woman computer.
Yeah, exactly.
It is off. Like I'm tripping over myself here. Like somebody's gonna like isolate some of this and like
You're gonna get canceled.
The first time I watched this, it was actually difficult at times for me to understand what.
Guys, don't let me get canceled, please.
I'm still nervous that someone's gonna isolate me saying vagina. Craig.
Just say it a couple more times. Okay.
The vagina supercut just destroys your whole livelihood.
Yeah.
Or like the Lord of the Rings, like the hobbits are going to Isengard. It'll just be like vagina, but.
Oh my god.
Yo is gonna be all over this.
Somebody please do it. I can't remember the point I was going to make, but anyway.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Vagina.
Human computer.
The part where she's trying to add her name to the notes, like the propositions, I guess they are the proposals. I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's like she's adding her name, and then Sheldon is like, "Computers don't make proposals," and then he's like, "Do it again," or like, "Take this away from me." And when I was watching it the first time, my brain still hadn't like fully kind of like loaded that in as a concept. So I was like, what does that mean? And then
my brain just
kept forgetting that she's a computer. Like, oh yeah,
my brain just did that when you were explaining it.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it.
He was talking about her. She's the computer.
Yeah. And part of it is he gets to have his name on something that she has co-authored, basically checked and then typed out. Like, that's just like she did the whole dang thing. But maybe this is a lesson that we can take from AI. The computer was wrong about the go no go coordinates.
Exactly. They need
and the human needed to come in
and go get her.
Just like
that reminds me of the AI.
Hands.
All the search engines are trying to roll out AI, and the search engines are messing it up real bad. And also, it turns out that Amazon may or may not be feeding information to Indian people in call centers, just feeding them the information to type back into the computer as the AI. So there's all this scandal stuff that's happening with AI now. That's really reminiscent of this.
The Amazon touchless
It's Amazon.
Market.
Yeah.
It was the go in and like there's a way to do this with RFID chips. Sorry, you know what? That's a different conversation. Let's not talk about RFID and like
I don't know what you're talking about.
All I know
is that AI makes weird hands. They still can't do it.
Oh yeah, but the hair is always perfect on AI humans. Hair is perfect and gorgeous, but then they have 3 legs.
They get vampire hair. You know, like when Bella Swan's hair just becomes like perfect in Breaking Dawn Part 2.
You zoom in on that eyeball and it's got like 10 irises, like an ant.
I don't know if you guys ever go on Facebook, but it is a nightmare wasteland of infinite bots making infinite more AI of their own. It's so fucking weird because the way they explained it, the way that I heard this guy explain it, is these bots are just taking the same AI prompt and doing it over and over and over and over. And then when people interact with it, it gets it out further, and then more bots. It's kind of part of the dead internet theory, which is just like there's no internet anymore. Everything interacting with everything is just bots all the way down. There's like 30 people online, and the other bajillion people are just AI bots.
Yeah,
broken AI bots.
I'm not chronically online. I'm usually just reading, like right over there.
I'm chronically online.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to clear something up. When I like,
you're one of the 30 people.
I'm one of the 30 people.
Sorry, no.
When I said that like these things didn't happen, like she didn't have to petition the courts and whatnot, like those, though, it's not to say that there wasn't absolutely every day of fighting through like the racism, and it's just like we don't get to feel that in a movie, so they have to like punch us in the face with like this is an injustice, because like but that's not to say that there wasn't a million other challenges.
Of course,
like, removing that does not.
That's what I was trying to get at before, is that they have to illustrate it somehow in order for us to be able to read it visually, and not necessarily just through horror But how do you have those small injustices feel like they are constant, and just not being able to go to the bathroom in the same building as something accomplishes that goal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or having a segregated lunchroom.
I believe that did actually happen to Mary Jackson. She did have to run to go to a bathroom at one point. So there's like things conflated. The book also talks about another woman. I'll pull up her name, but she was removed from it.
She was actually hidden.
She was the true hidden figure.
Christine Darden, who was a researcher in supersonic flight and sonic booms. So she's also
like Guile?
They also say Capcom in this game a lot. Or in this
so many times in this game. So many times I was like, Capcom.
Yeah. Millennials were broken because I was just like, Capcom.
Yeah,
like,
that's a video game.
Versus Marvel.
Sonic Boom, that's a video game. I mean, so
like, unironically.
Yeah, to sort of like go through it a little bit in the order of how things, the order of operations, I guess, is that the three of these characters that we're introduced to in the car, they get escorted to NASA and by the police, because the police officer is at first being a racist prick, and then he's impressed that they work for NASA, and then he stares at the sky because just to like illustrate how
that's so funny.
Like, do you know the boys
right now?
Yeah, you ever meet the boys?
Oh,
yeah, we meet them every day.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then he looks at the sky and says, "Damn, Sputniks are spying on us right now."
Yeah, looking at us right now.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about how comically irrational the fear was in the United States around this time over Russia, and they were afraid that when the Sputniks got to space, they were going to immediately start dropping nukes on the United States from space, which is so like, you don't understand how anything works. And they were still hiding under desks in case a nuclear attack would happen. And also fear mongering. There's a little moment where somebody says to somebody else, like, we shouldn't continue, like it's more dangerous to like perpetuate these fears among people, than to
Sheldon
them
says
actually
it.
happening. Yeah, Sheldon says
he's
it.
like, it's a big,
maybe
it's
we
a
shouldn't.
Yeah,
maybe we shouldn't talk about this if we don't have substantiated evidence for what's actually happening. But people are just in it. It's always happened all throughout history. People are just afraid. And then those fears turn into monsters, and those monsters end up turning into flat Earth theory. So
like, I see what you're saying, but like, they had just done what no one else had done, not but 20 years ago, and dropped 2 atomic bombs on people.
That's fair.
Yeah,
they were still
like, it's possible because we'll bring it back to Oppenheimer. You're saying
it was
so it happens at the end.
fresh.
Now anyone else can do it.
Yeah, but I'm not like 20 years later,
it's coming
like,
for
they're
us
gonna
now.
They're gonna 9/11 every building. Like, that's, my brain doesn't do.
Well, I mean, the thing is that like it changes, right? Like, so
true.
Nuclear war is not necessarily a terror that terrorizes people in their homes every day currently, but it's something that is a nuclear bomb going into a bathroom that it's not supposed to go into, and like exposing itself to your children or whatever.
Yeah, or a literal genocide, which
is even less rational of a fear, but it's being used.
So I'm not like, I agree. Like, the hiding behind, like, historically we know from what we've learned that like there was a lot of panic and a lot of bad that came out of that
and cover.
But do you know what I wanted to ask you guys, since the desk thing came up in that scene? I could not decide if it was Mary. No, was it Catherine talking to her kids?
Yeah.
Yes, it was Catherine talking to her kids. What she thought in that moment. For a second, I thought that she's like, okay, we have to get a man into space because we need to be there first, so the Russians don't, so my kids don't have to hide under a desk, is how I read that part. Like, I'm doing my part to save my children.
Right.
But am I doing work for the movie?
Yeah, I didn't read it that way, but I mean, I don't think that that's a poor way to read it, because the entire scene is revolving around, her children not being able to have their own beds, and then also being scared of nuclear war because their school is perpetuating it and making them hide under their desks. But she also then does a good job of saying, like, these are just things for you to do in case something happens. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I truly believe that she believe that herself, in the sense that, like, I don't necessarily think that that's a thing we have to worry about. But they don't really go into it anymore after that, especially with her character. She kind of seems very truly focused on what her job is and excelling, and not even so much excelling, so much as it is that she just wants to be able to accomplish the task that she's been given.
She just likes the math.
Yeah. And she's not able to, right?
We also have to realize that the whole space race was only because there was a race to be run. The second that all of this sort of ended, they dismantled the space missions on like pretty much everywhere. Now it's like rare. It's a rare feat to go into space. That currently, what's left of NASA is going to do a flyby of the moon in like next year for a future landing on the moon.
Well,
it's probably going to be a better
shuttles.
It's true, but the 90s were rife with failure. But they do send rockets into space every day. Like, I get that, but they haven't really been back to the moon in a very meaningful way. And I think the next time they go, it's going to be to set up.
You don't hear about it often, but they do. They do stuff all the time. They just
They don't go to the moon.
They have little robots.
The moon.
Like, they send robots out, and I think the main part isn't like, let's go to the moon and do stuff with it. Like the space stuff, like the reason we have our phones and can get information is because everything is pinging off of shit.
That's exactly my point.
Like, that's what it is. It's like the mechanical.
Because it's business, it's money to put satellites into space.
Yes,
there's no real reason to go to the moon. But the thing is going to the moon now, the implication is that we put a base there to like refuel before going to Mars. And that's but the thing is there's no real, like, nobody else is like, let's also go. So there's no race to be run is the thing. That's the problem with going to the space and going to the bottom of the ocean. There's no real like way to make money off it. If we get into like a Deep Impact or an Armageddon situation or Don't Look Up, where there's like a meteorite that has like precious minerals, isn't
that happening though?
I think it is.
I read it was like explaining to me where people are like going up in space because it's cheaper.
Don't Look Up situation happening.
It's cheaper to go to space to get certain minerals that make batteries, and there's the same thing going on with the deep sea. I don't know. This is all hearsay.
I watched Return of the Jedi yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm a minor.
Vagina. Far be it.
I keep getting this movie and the television show Lovecraft Country mixed up in my head. So
country.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Lovecraft.
Okay, so far be it for me to bro science, but when we study things that create new math and put a lot of pressure on bodies and whatnot, we actually find other stuff that we can use as well. So the movement of science for that, like these computers that they put in, the calculations that they're doing lead to other things and satellites and so like you get there's other value that can come of it, not just let's go to the moon, right?
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that, like,
why are you disagreeing with me?
The reason that we don't get these technological space advances like we did from the late 50s to the late 70s is because no other countries are also trying to do it, and there's no instant money out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Stupidity and
it's Oogie Boogie. Let's talk about him. He's full of bugs.
I wanted look. I wanted to show my toes too. It's actually
oh my goodness, God, that's amazing.
Sorry.
No, that was a great
because I saw you had your toy. So I was like,
I
have toys.
This is a great pressure reliever from the argument that Jason and I were.
You guys are
science
about
boring.
Batteries and money.
I don't know why. I don't know why this is
curious.
No, we agree. We agree.
We do agree.
I didn't realize there was an actual fight happening.
There wasn't.
No, there isn't.
No,
there wasn't. I think there was a miscommunication. I think Noel thought that I was trying to say something that I wasn't, but I was just trying to outline that this is a very important time for science, but then it just kind of stops because capitalism.
Jason just wants to talk about how much he hates billionaires.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I want to know how do you all feel about space travel.
Space is scary.
I
Yeah,
think that
space is
it's
scary.
good,
Why?
but
Why?
it's only going to be used to make like inter-orbit space station hotels.
But that's where it
and
starts, and then you move on beyond that.
True,
once you've
you're
done
right.
that. This is
There's
the
nothing-
issue. Is
Hearing
that
the news that they're going to do a flyby of the moon, like a very scientific look at the moon to put potentially in 10 years
and maybe that will
space station on
inspire
the
some
moon.
teenager who's really good
Exactly.
at math to
I
eventually
agree.
decide to do something. So like this is the issue.
Steer into it,
Spoilers,
Steve.
though, it won't.
So what I'm more interested in is that like the research that can be done in space. Like they research like things like what bugs do, what boost from a shoe does in space. Like that sort of research in that different environment. Like not having those things, I think, is a problem.
The cats always land on their feet in zero gravity. And you just look like a cat
Where do they
flying
just go? I mean, there's no up and down
Did
in
you watch
space.
the
right?
Marvels?
I did watch the Marvels. Yeah.
Cats in space.
Cats in space. They
I don't know.
can
I think we
eat
should
you.
leave space alone. One of my favorite things to do is to look up and calculate the death rate for people who go to space.
That's
Like,
one of your
what is-
favorite things to do.
Because there's so few people
Number
that go
one
to
is
space
plane
that it's
crashes.
like-
Number two is space deaths.
Because it's very high, but it's because so few people
there's
have
8
been
people
in
that
space.
have gone to space.
Yeah.
More than that.
I
But most
know.
of the people who have died, like you can die in tests and in like anyway, there's a whole bunch of ways to die. Well, let's not get into that.
A
The
million
movie.
ways. I want to talk about space death some more. The movie. So these 3 characters, they get split up into the NASA, into different areas of NASA. I mean, at first, Octavia Spencer is sort of feeling left behind, but she's also happy that her 2 friends are moving forward. There's a great line in the car where she's like, any upward movement is upward movement for all of us, just not for me.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, she's not necessarily, she's a little bit envious, but she's also happy. But she just wants to vent her frustrations a little bit about being stagnated.
Yeah,
And like,
she's working the job of a supervisor, but
not being
is
paid.
not being paid or given the title of supervisor. So I think for her, that's the acute frustration that
She feels like
it's
she's
not
hit a
like she's
wall.
being held back.
Yeah.
She's already doing the job and they should just do that. But you're right. Like I like the rising tide will lift all ships. Like I think that's so many times in movies the trope is like women be hating other women.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that
It's really nice. They're all
absent.
friends and support each other all the time.
And
Like,
there's
when
no
they're
falling
drinking,
out or
waiting,
anything.
and they're
And they have
waiting
the
for her.
dance.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
I was waiting till we were going to talk about the moonshine, because then I was like, "Ooh, should we all get booze now?"
I mean,
Okay,
I have wine right here.
Sorry,
so-
Steven, go for it.
Oh,
Go get some wine,
Steven.
Caitlin. Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Okay,
talking
gonna
too
go-
much,
I'm
so
gonna go
I'm just
get
gonna excuse
Nice.
myself.
No, you're not talking too much. You're saying very smart things. And I'm like,
That's
I'll be right
unusual.
back. I'm gonna get wine.
Jason,
Vagina.
Caitlin's gonna come back with a mason jar full of dark brown liquid.
Yeah, full of literally moonshine.
Um,
I don't mean to get testy about it, but I feel very strongly about the fact that this era for space travel and science and pushing humanity forward, even though there was still a lot of like really primitive kind of war and racism and all that, scientifically and from a space, I remember in the 90s as a kid being like, by the time I'm 40, I'm going to be living on the moon with rocket boots and a space car. And, because of capitalism and because of the way that the powers that be sort of
cheers.
compartmentalize and control everything.
Now let's
The billionaires only hoard money. They only hoard the money. So to see back then,
Jason, I'm gonna make a recording called Jason's Billionaire Rant Corner.
Being so passionate about wanting to go to space for the right reasons, that element of the movie really made me gush a lot. I'm trying to talk about the movie and how this is
talking about capitalism.
This is how you related. But
I mean,
I missed most of your rant because I was retrieving.
All right, Jason, take 2.
But I think I agree with you. That
Yeah,
just,
I think we all agree, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
idea of like spending money up there and doing that.
The
like, when
vanity
there's so much
project
here-
thing.
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
vanity
yeah.
project is a problem. I
Yeah.
think.
Right. But I remember I recently watched Interstellar, and that movie just made me so frustrated because they spend the whole time looking for another planet, right? And all the planets that they find, and even ones that they're like, maybe this is the one, we can make this work. It's like the planet that you left is still the best option.
Go back.
you could
That's
focus
still the
up
best
there.
planet that you can get.
You can grow
So,
corn there still. That means you can do other stuff.
yeah, and you can build like be under all these things. Like, why would you leave that? Anyway.
Yeah. If we
Because
could
they'd rather
use
go
Earth,
to a
man.
universe where
Root-
they'd
rooting
rather
for
go to a
Earth.
planet where 1 minute is 75
Yeah.
years or whatever back on Earth.
Yeah, if you stay
If we
on there
could
for 10
use
minutes.
everything that we've learned through space travel and technology and like push the envelope in order to get rid of the Great Pacific garbage dump,
Oh,
that'd be
right,
great,
yeah.
right?
The island of garbage. Yeah. Just get a big net and a lot of helicopters. I'm sure this will work, right? This is like when Trump was like, yeah, maybe if you inject bleach in your veins or whatever. You know, just
Maybe we
get
get
a-
a
You should make the
high-powered
garbage.
ultraviolet light. Maybe
So,
like refers
Jason,
to the
the
doctor.
garbage
Like,
into fuel, like in Back to the Future. I need fuel.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
Like, why aren't we
Figure
doing
that
that?
And I'm sure there's
Yeah.
probably a way to figure it out. All the people who figure those types of things out, though, end up missing because
Yeah.
of big oil.
yikes.
when I was a kid, there was like an Earth
They're
Day
the real
thing to
hidden
be like,
figures.
how do we help the environment? And I had this big plan to shoot all our garbage into space. That's something 40 years later, 30 years later that is real, but it's not us shooting into space. It's us leaving debris up there. There's so much garbage and
That's
debris.
Yeah, there's like a website where you can look at every active satellite and deactivated satellite in orbit, and it's crazy. It looks
And
like
they're all
the-
just
Yeah.
crashing into each
looks
other.
like the
Right.
Earth is in like a
Yeah.
cage.
Sorry, Jason, I have to say something. And you and I, like, I love you. But when you were saying that you saw yourself when you were a kid, it's like, when I grow up, I'm going to be like on the moon with rocket boots. As a woman of color, I never thought that far
Oh, jeez.
for myself.
Mm.
I mean, I didn't either.
God.
I was too
It's
busy.
just different
doodling.
interests.
Yep, different interests.
I was thinking about
Okay,
boys.
bye.
I was just trying to get through the day
Hmm.
without being, do the
Oh,
basics.
he's gone now. I made a funny joke.
What were
when,
your dreams, Noel? What were your dreams?
Oh, I wanted to be the first woman to play in Major League Baseball. So, what? They both left.
Feminism.
Yeah.
Listen, you bring up baseball, and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna
So
go
you
see a
must-
baseball game tomorrow.
Oh my God, you're the third person to tell me that they're going to the baseball game tomorrow.
It's the Pride game.
Yeah, I get the sweet
Oh
pride
my
hat,
goodness.
which my friend and his wife are going to as well because he wants the hat, and
I
I'm
have a
going to see Eric
tiny-
Andre, which
What
is
a
pride
party.
adjacent because I'm going to see his butthole probably.
Ugh.
I blacked out for a
Is
second,
that
and
the
then,
hidden
and then all I
figure?
heard was "but."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the real hidden
What is the
figure.
real?
The real-
hidden figure?
Yeah.
You guys have an outline, right? Maybe we should run through.
We do. We've just been
Yeah.
talking about space for 25 minutes.
We're
I'm
in the
sorry.
we're
I
in the
feel like
body
I'm
of the
asking.
episode.
I'm asking questions that are
No, it's the same thing that Stephen and I did with Paul Verhoeven,
Yeah.
where we just talked
when we
about.
had like
Some movies
can
are more
refer to the notes.
tangentable.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just-
I'm just saying I keep derailing us, so please.
I just
need
wanted
go
to
grab a
I just
hat.
wanted to like underline the fact that all three of them go into three different directions in NASA, and they all, have their own individual tales at this point, and we just kind of get them coming back together in their personal life, and their social life is almost entirely focused around one another and helping one another outside of work as well. So they're not just work friends, and you don't really get a lot of history of them, but they've known each other
Right.
for a long enough time because at least one of them was at her first wedding, which was however knows how long ago, at least 12, I guess, however old her oldest daughter is. You don't really kind of, if they say the ages, I missed it, but she looks to be around like 12 or
I
so,
think-
right?
I would say she's an 8.
The oldest one is an 8.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. You work with kids.
no,
I
the
don't.
oldest one was like 12, and then
Was she
That's
12?
what I
Well,
said.
Steve, I don't know.
she was like precocious.
Maybe the actor was 12 and she was playing 8. I don't know. But
gonna
anyway, that's
Google.
besides the point. We're just trying to figure out how long ago her husband died, but we don't really know But at least Mary was at the first wedding because she's commenting on how, like, you're just a little bit fuller now, but you look good. You look so fucking good. And we get the idea that they've been friends for a very long time, but I don't know if they met through work or if they met before that. We don't really get a lot of backstory, but it doesn't really matter because you can tell that their friendship is deep, very deep, to the point that they're going to all dance together with a jar of bourbon or whatever the hell that liquor was. I don't know.
We do get a love interest for Catherine through I cannot.
Jim Johnson.
Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali. I was saying it phonetically in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna get a look at it at least. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic actor. He kind of plays like he has like a backseat role. He plays like I treat women like they're can't do stuff character, which is like a good way to portray him, because it was very much what dudes are like. We're like are going to be like, so stop that, you guys.
I mean, his he doesn't really his
he has a misstep.
He puts his foot in his mouth immediately.
He's been away too long.
Yeah, he makes a slightly sexist comment, and she comes right at him immediately, and he understands the error of his ways, and he never really does that again throughout the movie.
Yeah, but that's the subconscious tensions that like women will have to deal with, that the men in their community still see them as women, and like there's a whole layer there.
Of course, like, and we're getting that from the other characters as well, right? The other male characters.
Right.
I
didn't know NASA hired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like Mary's husband is being like, you can't be an engineer. Like you're a woman, and you're you're not white. You cannot do that. And she's like, you better shut up right now, or I'm gonna yell at you in front of all of these people. And he's like, okay. Which I like.
I love when she says
women.
Like, if you're at this, unless you want this woman's mind. I love that line. It's like, you don't want this woman's mind right now.
Yeah. You're gonna hear it. You're not gonna just get it, but all these other people, like everybody that went to church today, is gonna hear my mind as well. And then we get like the nice flirtatious sequence when Mary is like blatantly waving him over to come talk to Catherine, and Octavia Spencer is
she's like, he's not gonna come over here, and she's like,
yeah.
Why's he coming over here?
It's because she's waving him over here. What?
Yeah, it's great. And then I love her line of like, NASA hires us to do a bunch of things, and it's not because we wear skirts, it's because we wear glasses. And that's how you know you're smart, is because you wear glasses.
That's diss number 2. That's probably my second favorite diss in the entire movie, other than, what if you were a white man? Would you want to be an engineer then? I don't think so. If I was a white man, I'd already be an engineer. And then the other one is like, I think I truly believe that you truly believe that, kind of thing. It's like pretty good. There's a couple
of
other
their little mic drop moments.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Never mind.
What? What? I
was just gonna say, some of the racial tension, like the subtleness, is like with Mrs. Mitchell, like you can just like she's being mean and prejudiced very clearly. But then you have the other woman who works in the fancy space pod with Kevin Costner and Jim Parsons. Is that his name? And she's introducing Catherine, and then she's the new computer. She can speak because he keeps talking to her and doesn't talk to Catherine. But then later she's like, I don't know where your bathroom is, right? Like, even though she said something very not stood up for her, but in a way was just like kind of put the man in his place for a second. But then there's still that tension of like, I'm not, why would I know? Right. Like, this is just not something that she has to think about. So why would she know where that bathroom is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good. I'm not saying that's good.
No.
No.
And when Catherine first walks in, she does that double take of like, oh.
Yeah.
Hello.
She's on the phone and she's like, wait a minute. You're different than me.
It's not like super subtle.
No. But I mean, you can also tell that she is happy to have another woman in that environment, and she's happy that she's so smart, and then she's also happy that she's rising through above everybody else to the top. Because, you know, when Catherine, you know, completes all those equations that she had to look through the blacked out documents, she's one of the people that comes up and sees the equations by Jim Parsons. And there's like a moment where I was watching it for the first time and I was like, is he going to take credit for her work? Because if he does, I'm going to be really, really upset. And she immediately turns around and is like, it was Catherine Couples that did that.
Also, I said out loud at my television, just hold that up to the light. And then she goes,
She heard you.
Love that so much.
Interactive choose your own adventure movie.
Yeah.
They're watching the AI. Wouldn't that be like, that would be cool if we could use AI to, anyway, no, that's a Futurama episode. But the scene where Kevin Costner is like, are you a spy? Like, she's like, how did you know about that? It's like, I held it up to the light. And then
he's like, use darker ink next time.
And then the other guy's like holding his work up to the light. It was just so, like, not only is she intelligent, like in a like math numbers way, but that's just like a very basic common fucking sense kind of thing to do, of like, I can't see this, let's hold it up to the light. And all of these clowns who have been trying to redact their work like that never even considered it.
Yeah,
they kind of portray some of those like white men working there who they're kind of like the bumbling fool of I didn't know that the computer was going to be this big and it doesn't get in the door and I don't know how to do this and I don't know math. And you kind of realize like even the people who are putting things into space like are making it up. Like, they do not know what they're doing.
And they also have
we're all just clueless humans.
Yeah.
Well, the most powerful people in the world are still just like, whoa.
Well, yeah, but the bumbling is also to contrast like our heroes, right?
They make our girls look good.
Yeah. The thing that made me the saddest while watching this was the fact that I'd never heard of these women. Like that I've been on this planet X amount of years and this was never something that was like, I know
they're the hidden figures.
Exactly. Exactly. But it made me genuinely sad to not know that. And there's like others, like there's that story exists throughout. Like you can go if you go to Mackenzie House in Toronto where they have like an old printing press and whatnot. Like I've only ever heard of the newspapers that were run by like white men in early Toronto, but one of the early newspapers was put out by a Black woman, and she was one of the first like newspaper women in Canada, and like had her, and like we just don't know this stuff. So that's what depressed me when I was watching it.
Yeah, it does feel like there's trying to be a shift with, you know, putting women on money. Ooh, and those stories are like children's stories for bedtime about brave women, and trying to get those stories out there because I think people are like, this is really cool. I want to know more about it, and more people who have done this stuff behind the scenes. Because behind, you know, there's women all over history. You just don't necessarily hear about it.
There are women.
And
have you seen Star Wars? There's one woman, Princess Leia.
Yeah, you know, they're there.
The thing about there's another one too. The thing about a movie like this that's accessible is I don't know if your English teachers made you guys watch Romeo plus Juliet as a way to like learn about Shakespeare or Zeffirelli's. This is something that like a board teacher on a Thursday where like kids aren't paying attention, like you put this movie on and I think it has value there. Like there's stuff that you can learn from it and you can be inspired by it. Definitely. I think it's better than Romeo plus Juliet being played.
I'm gonna rewatch that. I plan on rewatching Romeo and Juliet, like the 90s one, and I feel like from the clips I've seen it's not gonna hold up at all. Like I feel like it's gonna what it meant to me as a young
Wait, is
person.
This like the DiCaprio?
The DiCaprio one.
Romeo plus Juliet is the best one. Oh yeah.
Oh geez, I've only seen that once, I think.
We used to watch it in class. Like Noel's absolutely right. It was one of those
English teachers.
We're talking about Shakespeare. It very much is.
Movie for Shakespeare.
We also watched Othello, which is a really weird racist movie as well.
We watched Othello. Ran.
We watched Hamlet. We watched
Ran,
and we also watched what's the other one?
King Lear, I think
the one who
it's
like
Kurosawa, King Lear.
Oh,
Macbeth.
Oh, it's Macbeth.
I like.
See,
Macbeth.
I nothing. I completely tuned out.
I
now teach
rewrote
children.
Othello as like a space epic once when I was in high school because I liked it so much. I like the story.
Macbeth.
Sounds very you.
Yeah. No,
Bubble.
of Othello.
Outspot.
Because it's
Othello.
Yeah, because it's like
strangle your wife. That's what Othello's about.
I mean,
Pound of
I
flesh.
didn't. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. That's
I
what
cut out a lot
happens.
of the wife strangling.
Okay.
I made it about aliens and stuff, except I still kept like Othello.
I really honed in and focused on the wife strangling element.
Yeah, it was the whole. It starts with the wife strangling and it ends with the wife strangling.
That's it's like I saw it at Stratford. It's very hard to sit through.
Is it
that? Yeah,
too much wife strangling.
Little.
So I mean, we're at the point now where I guess we can start to get into like the meat and potatoes of the tale, which is, she's our main. Katherine Johnson is our main character, right? And we're focusing on her primarily, but the other two are also kind of on their own side quests, completing things and growing in their own way. And it's all equally as satisfying to me. I was never bored. I never felt like at one point I'm following another person's tale and I was like, oh, I want to get back to the other story. I was equally invested in all three of these characters and seeing them succeed. And, as we keep saying, the movie is a feel good and they all do succeed. And it feels really good at the end when they all succeed.
Taraji P. Henson's like break moment where she yells about the bathroom, I thought was...
Yeah, I was just about to get into that. This is
so powerful to me.
It's very powerful, but I also wanted to talk about Kevin Costner's, tunnel vision that he has in this movie. And like, he is portrayed as the white savior, and it's interesting to me that like he is blind almost to the racism that's going on because all he cares about is the numbers, right? The numbers. All I care about is the numbers. Call your wives. Everybody call your wives right now and say you're not coming home for dinner.
I also like that other woman is like, he's not going to warm up to you. And then he immediately warms up to it.
Yeah. It's like, is he not a nice guy to all of you guys?
He seems like a pretty nice guy. Yeah, maybe not to the idiot dudes who are screwing up.
Maybe he wasn't nice to the past computers though. Catherine's better. It's like they had said he had gone through half a dozen.
But she also stayed like he's in his office and she was like, you could tell that she was staying because he was still there, whereas everybody else in the office is gone. The entire room is dark except for her desk and his office, and he's still in there.
And she had to finish the equations by the end of the day, and then she goes in there to give it to him, and he's like, we don't even need it anymore.
Yeah, but I think that he respected that. Like he looked and saw his entire room empty, and he's like, oh, you're still here. Okay, geez, I didn't even notice. And I could tell at that point. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. I was
okay. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say at that moment, I was like, it's gonna take something really big for him to even notice the injustice that's happening in his own bullpen area. Like there's all this shitty stuff happening to her, and he keeps being like, where the hell is she? I'm like, there's gonna have to be a big blowout for him to really understand what's going on down there. Because he can't see it because he's blind. All he can see is the numbers, guys. He can only see the figures. He can't see the hidden figures.
So he's a made-up character. He's a composite of a couple characters.
Right. I figured as much. It seemed too like comic book-esque the way his desk is raised.
Like
he's like a James
Bugle
Bond
type
villain almost. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was a director of that section, but just like that character didn't exist. But there was a historical person who was more interested in the numbers, right? Like whether they were a progressive mind or not, it was like, we need the best working on this. And that sort of, I guess, evened the playing field because it was a very meritocracy. But that has its own issues, but that's what he kind of comes off as, like when he's not being like super white savior and like being the one guy who's there to like stand up for her and break that washroom sign. For a second I was just
that was a little heavy-handed.
I was like, is he breaking it so now they don't have any washroom?
I know, because I was like, if you're gonna break a sign, break it in the East Wing. Why go to their campus and break?
Also, that's awful to like trying to be doing your work and then you just hear like someone like crowbarring. Like
Yeah.
that would stress me. And I've seen
then
a plane fall out of the sky.
It
And it
just
was
cuts to the
only
black women, and they're like,
the
"Well, where are we
black-
supposed to
yeah,
go now?"
It was only the black women watching. It's like, who are you making this point to?
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Like that was such a weird scene.
There's a dog.
Do you
Hold
own a dog, Noel?
It's not that loud. Just push through.
No, I need to find out if she's okay.
Oh, hello, Caitlin. Well, it's just us here.
Captain
Welcome.
Phillips. Hello.
Yeah. Yar.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Basketball, starring Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Uh-oh.
loves it
Steve
too. He
is
loves it.
immediately like, I'm coming back.
We had to watch it on this podcast once.
Yeah, last year. It was a good.
Yeah,
episode.
that was my immediate thought too. Was like, whoa, is he like mega racist? And then like obviously the scene plays on, and oh wait, he's doing this to make a point that we shouldn't have any washrooms. But yeah, it probably would have been a little bit more. It would have had more immediacy in what they were trying to pull off if he was ripping down a whites only sign. But then you don't get the hallway of a bunch of white people on one side and a bunch of black people on the other side, because all those women.
Was there?
Yeah, all the women work in the West End campus or whatever it's called, the West Campus. So they wouldn't be in that building because she's the only one, right? So it would have been just
there
her
was
watching.
There's no segregated washroom in that other building, I think was the whole.
But as Noel said, that didn't happen. Like this was just specifically for the movie, right? So they had to, and that's the only washroom that we really see multiple times throughout the movie, right? Like
they did have segregated bathrooms at NASA, but
you said that didn't happen, right? Like
Catherine just used the white one, and I think like
that's what I thought was going to happen. Like just go to the bathroom, it's fine.
There is a part though when she's first going to look for the bathroom. She goes by the white bathroom, and there's a group of white women outside of the bathroom. She's kind of
outside
like,
it. Yeah. God damn it! I need to.
Guess I'll run.
Which is also a very natural storytelling.
It's kind of like maybe she would have gone in there.
Yeah,
I mean, bathroom politics, right? Like people,
still happening.
Yep.
It's also kind of sad how many scenes in this movie I was like, that's still a problem. Oh, that's still a problem.
Yeah.
Like black people getting pulled over by police officers. It's like still frightening.
I was like, as soon as he showed up, I was like, is this how our movie's gonna start?
Yeah.
It's that thing that I said at the start of the show. It's like you get a real heartfelt moment and then just cuts to like a cop showing up. It's gut punch.
But I mean, we get it.
But then the cop is the bumbling fool. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, look at the space up there. You believe in that stuff up there or what?
Hey, you ever seen an astronaut before? What are they like?
They tell you you're not supposed to look directly at the sun, but I find it soothing.
Yeah, I mean, you do a disadvantage to like the harsh reality by making these like kind of bumbly, lovable figures out of people who were terrible, but it makes for a fun movie.
Yeah. Also, how much cigarette smoke do you think that room would have filled with in the 60s?
Oh,
they're pretty.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There wasn't a single cigarette.
He's chewing a lot of gum, though.
Movie.
It's on Disney.
Oh
Plus,
yeah, what's that about? That was so gross. I don't like gum. Gum's my least favorite.
Was he chewing? Was it supposed to be tobacco?
He had sticks of gum that he kept putting in, and he would pull out the old one and he would just huck it, and then he would put a new one in. So I think that the implication would be that like in reality he would probably just be chain smoking cigarettes, and that's probably how the script was written. And they're like, oh, this is a Disney movie, so we need to.
We can't show
maybe we'll replace it with gum, and he just chews an unnecessarily gross amount of gum at all times.
Does the MPAA give you a higher rating if you have too much cigarette smoke?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would do it because this
When
movie
did that
is
start,
for
though?
children.
Because
I think, right?
Cigarettes in movies were like a staple.
I don't know when it started, but it's definitely.
When did it start, Steve? Can you get us a deep dive on
probably the early 2000s? I'm gonna say.
Do you remember in Mrs.
Maybe in the
Doubtfire when the little bird that he's doing the voice for is smoking, and he goes off script and is like, "This is bad for me."
Oh, my lungs. Yeah.
I went to watch. Speaking of Stratford, I went to see Cage of Fall, and when we came back, we watched the Birdcage. And in the Birdcage, they smoke in every scene. That's
also
really
a hard R movie.
No, I know it's a hard. Well, It's a hard R movie, but like,
I
but
didn't
also
realize
like
that I had said that. Yeah.
it's like 1992 or 1996 or something, where like even though it was an R-rated movie, it was like R-rated movies now don't really have smoking in them unless they're a period piece, right?
I think that's also just like people don't smoke as much anymore. Like it's not
That's
a
true.
thing that people do. There was a time where like a character trope was that they just smoked all the time, or like, you know, like Sam Jackson's character in Jurassic Park just constantly smoking a cigarette.
You're also not getting massive payouts from the tobacco industry
Yeah.
in your movie, so why feature it if you're not getting
True. And
It's
there's
all
And they
probably
had
about
a limited budget.
the money? Because that's like you see Snickers in a product placement. It used to be the Virginia Slims is the product placement. Like,
yeah.
not
So yeah, we get the massive blow up, we get the white savior scene. And it is a little bit cringy. It's pretty on the nose, but it's also doing its job as well. And I do like the line instead of saying like we don't see color here, he says we all piss the same color here. Something along those lines.
At NASA, we all pissed the same color.
Yeah. Which I like.
He says P.
Oh.
Card G.
Who does number 1 work for?
And then I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I don't know if this is me looking into it too hard, but she gets her clearance after this because they had their interrogation sequence, right? Like where she gets her pass to be able to see all the documents unaltered, and then it cuts to the lunchroom, and they're all getting their little bagged lunch, and then they're handing drinks to everybody, and Octavia Spencer and Janelle, they both get like a Coke, and then Catherine gets like a glass of water, and they all walk to the table, and like they have these like dark drinks, and she has like a white drink, and I'm like, this is like right after she's now been accepted into this room full of white men, and I'm like, are there going to be a bunch of like, so the rest of the movie I'm looking for like color coded like clues, like it's a puzzle that I'm trying to solve.
Oh.
And I don't know if that was intentional. It must have been intentional in some capacity that she's being like accepted by these white men, and now she's different.
Maybe
from
the
her
actor
friends.
just didn't want to have to fake sip on whatever the brown
on
stuff
Coke.
was.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was. That's the thing is like I was like I watch movies like in this way where I'm like everything means something. So like I saw this and I was like this means something. So for the rest of the movie, I'm looking for these like little color clues to see like is the other character gonna have a different color drink now that she got accepted as the supervisor of this room. Didn't happen, but
what is it, modes of understanding or something like this? It's a cultural science about like how we receive information, and that like sorry, you know what, back to the movie.
Oh my gosh, no,
you're allowed to continue.
No, I think I
tale.
Tell us about the modes.
Tell you my weeping whale.
Yeah.
Some rhyming slang.
I didn't put together that this movie was like hard D Disney. That was.
I don't know if
it's funnier in my head.
It's not.
Disney
it's not a
movie.
Disney
It's on
production.
Disney Plus,
But it's just.
It's
I know that.
TriStar.
It's TriStar. Is that a subsidiary of Disney or something? I guess it
No,
probably
but I
has
just
to be if
remember
it's
a
on
lot of.
Disney Plus.
I remember a lot of children's movies I liked being TriStar.
Ninja
And so
Turtle. No, wait, no, that
when
was
it came
New
up, I'm
Line.
like, ooh, TriStar.
That was New Line.
Pictures.
Wait, wasn't Hook TriStar?
Sony Pictures.
I think it might have been
Wait, which one's the horse one? Is that
Maybe that's
TriStar?
what I'm thinking because
That's
I also
TriStar.
just watched Hook.
the unicorn.
Yes, TriStar is the horse one.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
Hook is
I'm
TriStar.
thinking
It's
of
a Pegasus.
Don't
It's
listen.
Mandela
to me.
affected.
Oh man, I was thinking of Hook. I was thinking of Hook.
Hook.
Hook, who's the
That
Hook?
had the subject matter of that film was much lighter than the subject matter of this film. I gotta say, I know that's a
Hook
really
is a baseball movie. Just so you know.
Yeah,
It's Fox. Fox section. It's Century Fox.
Right.
Oh, so they bought it along with The Simpsons. So this had nothing to do with Disney.
Oh, yeah, probably not. Because when I was watching the movie, I was like, "Is Fox still around?" I remember saying that like as the spotlights were coming up.
Ce n'est pas.
Fox is just under the umbrella now. Well, it's not. I think it just got
20th
absorbed.
Century Fox.
Except
I'm
for
so-
Fox News, is just its own thing by itself now.
I am
Rupert Murdoch is
so
like,
glad.
I need the news. It's a real Succession situation, I feel like.
I was so glad they didn't talk about poor Laika when they were talking about the Russian space race. Nothing makes me more miserable than thinking about that poor little dog.
I know.
The
You
dog.
refuse to watch a Leica movie because
It
because
I-
of the
literally haunts me. How could
Oh,
you
is that the
pos-
reference? The Leica name is a reference to the dog that got
first
shot
dog in space. Yeah.
into
Yeah.
space in a
Yeah.
cannon, basically.
in a
Listen,
metal...
that dog probably had a great life.
No, it didn't. It was a street dog, and they took street dogs because they were like,
But
oh,
what
well,
if they shoot it into
they're
space?
used to living like shit anyway. So then they put her through rigorous, horrible, like inhumane testing before they shot her into space. And then she died from overheating immediately as soon as they shot her into space. And like the pictures of her, she's just sitting there on like the rocket being like, I'm a good dog. Like, owner, like
What if the dog
humans
was bad
like
though?
you?
What if like it was bad and
What if it was
had a
an
knife in
evil
its mouth?
dog?
Yeah, what if it was haunted by the souls of 1,000 monster
just
ghosts?
look up the picture of the dog sitting in the rocket and you will weep.
When you went
like
like this, I was like, that's a good dog.
Yeah.
It's gotta
Like
be.
it,
Yeah. Noel's
like,
a
I
good
just wanna-
dog.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's just all believe it was evil, and we'll be like, we must shoot evil dog into sun.
To
If
make
we
sure
don't
that
shoot evil
human
dog
can
into
go
sun,
to
it will
space.
spawn and create more.
and then they were
evil
holding
dogs.
a live dog, like Yuri was holding, or one of
Yeah.
them. Anyway, like, couldn't they just? Why did they have to do that to the dog? Ugh.
Didn't they do a monkey also?
Maybe
Why
the
are you
dog wouldn't
doing-
stop.
They
Sorry.
sent a lot of animals into space.
No more animals being shot into
guys.
space.
Yeah, humans
I think
first.
the cockroaches on the ISS are like just fine.
That's not
The
an
ants?
animal.
Those
So-
are going to come back and they're going to take over the earth. They're going to be like, we've been to
Turn
space
into
now.
rad
They're the
roaches.
longest thing, right?
I think so. Yeah.
On
They
Mythbusters,
would
I think
survive.
they blasted radiation on a whole bunch of things, and like a particular type of beetle was actually the thing that survived
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah. It turned into a
But
beetle
cockroaches are
borg.
pretty up there.
I think the thing about cockroaches is even if you
We could
blast
learn
them with
from
your
them.
foot, they carry their babies on their backs, so the babies just go everywhere and create more. That's not real science. I don't know.
I
Genius.
don't think so.
So
Genius.
cockroaches, the egg sac that they have is called an ootheca. Did you know?
Noel, how do
I
you
That
didn't
know?
sounds like an
all
ancient
these
Egyptian
things?
curse.
It does.
Yeah.
How do I know?
Captain
afraid
Phillips
of
was like
everything.
worried about mispronouncing the
Mahershala
guy's
Ali.
name, and you're just like,
Yeah.
did you know?
Listen,
Pulling
that's a
out
really
massive
really
words.
astute point you've made. Thank you.
So,
Where are we,
movie,
Steve?
Hidden
Tell me
Figures.
about this movie I watched
Yeah.
yesterday.
They all get their own special jobs. And they I mean, we've gone through the blowout where she is now basically one of the guys. She's one of the guys now, and now she's working internally on the numbers for the launch itself. And then we get that scene where Captain America shows up and meets everybody, and he's like, well, I can't go away without shaking the hands of all these nice ladies over here. And he goes,
Glenn Powell sucks, but we're gonna see so much more Glenn
Posturing.
Powell after Twisters comes out in a couple months, or 1 month, or
Is
10
he in that?
days. He's the guy.
he's
Twister.
Mr. Twister.
He's Johnny
I recently
Twisters.
rewatched Twister as well.
Does
but I
that
thought it-
movie hold up?
I love that movie because it was one of the few VHSs my dad had
Same.
in his townhouse. So like every other weekend, it was like, do you want to watch Twister or Armageddon? He only had Disaster. What's that about? I was 10.
That's
Oh,
an
man.
interesting thing we have in common, where we both watch Twister in a townhouse.
He was trying to prepare you
I
for
love-
life, Caitlin. He was
I
just
think-
saying,
I lived in a
"Caitlin,
townhouse
life's a
in Disney
as
disaster.
well.
Get used to it."
Yeah, here you go. I love Twister. I had a great time. We watched it, and I think we got pizza, and I was the happiest.
From the
I've never
from the
seen
trailer of
Twisters.
Twisters,
But
the
I can only
conceit-
think of the KFC like wrap when I
the
think of
conceit of
Twisters.
Twisters
I'm
not
looks
the
like
board
it's
game.
like he's like a YouTuber reality star guy who's like, go, let's drive into the biggest Twister of all time. and it's just
That's
going
a
to be
real
rehash
thing.
of.
Storm chasers.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
And the first movie
It's
is
like,
great.
they're
'cause
like the astronauts of Earth.
yeah, Earthstronauts.
Okay,
And
but
it's
Steve,
a good thing James
Steve,
can't. Sorry.
Steve, I was just gonna say, like, Steve just like gave this tiniest little
Yeah.
snippet to get us back on track, and we're
Let's
Like,
talk about Twister now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Hans
I-
Zimmer
I
also
was-
did the music.
True.
oh, and it's great. And I really love the diegetic and the non-diegetic sound in Twister. How they use which one's the one that's like in it. If it's on the radio, it's Steve has given up. He's like goodbye. I get them mixed up. The diegetic one is the one that's on the radio. If it's in the movie, yes.
Is that
Yes.
like the
The one-
concept?
The diegetic is the one that the characters can hear.
Okay.
Yes. So the diegetic music in that movie, I love their use of it. It's so good. But anyway, I was gonna say to get us back to the Hidden Figures film, that once she got full clearance, there was a new hurdle to get over. Then it was to get into the briefings. So there's
Yeah.
always the next step that you're pushing for to get in there.
Yeah, and they all
Putting
had
her
that.
name on them.
Yeah, she started.
Yeah,
putting
it's
her
like
name on
it's
them.
never your work is never done, and that was kind of the feeling even when the movie ended. It's like
Yeah, there's
There's-
always a new hurdle.
Also, you're fired. Also, please come back.
Yeah, because at the end,
keep running,
like,
you have to run more.
the IBM has replaced her, but then it hasn't because the real John Glenn or whatever was like, I need her calculations. But you know how like Kevin Costner gives her the pass and she walks in
Yeah.
and like is there? She wasn't allowed in the room.
Oh,
IRL.
Bummer.
I have to say this though. So the music was Pharrell Williams, Hans Zimmer, and Benjamin Mark Lasker Wolfish, who also did the music for Twisters.
whoa! Looks like we gotta do a Twisters episode, guys.
Blade Runner
Maybe a Glenn
2049,
Powell month.
Shazam.
If you're gonna
It-
do Twisters, then you have to watch Twister. And Noel, you haven't seen Twister?
Mm-mm.
You'd
Maybe
like
we should have a
Twister.
Twister party at my house.
It's a fun movie.
It's
like,
a delight. Oh,
got
we
Bill
can watch
Pullman
Twister
and-
and then play Twister.
Twister's
We
all
could.
the way down.
I don't know if
I
my
love a
body moves
theme.
like that anymore. Yeah.
No, I don't think
Better
Helen
limber up,
Hunt's in
get
it.
stretching, Steve.
I got
In the-
physio. One thing that I
Comic
liked
relief
about
in
the
Twister is probably Jack Black. It's some like of
He's
the
not in Jack
era.
Black. I mean, he's not in Twister.
Jack Black is not in Twister.
Yeah.
Who's the like
John
comic
C.
relief?
Reilly.
I mean,
No,
guy
wait.
that
I
is
think you're
Twister?
thinking
No,
of
Phillips-
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour
Yeah.
Hoffman. Yes. I made a wild stab
He's,
in the dark
he's,
there when I
he's the
said that.
dude.
I knew it was somebody like that because Philip
love
Seymour
it. I
Hoffman
love it
late
so
in life
much.
became a very serious actor, but up until he sharded in Along Came Polly, he was very much a comic.
He was
foil
doing
guy.
very dry drama before sharding, Jason. Come on. That was just a weekend job for him.
That's my favorite. This is one of my favorite quotables from that era.
Not shocking.
He was Lester
Sharded.
Bang in Almost Famous. Lester Bang, Almost Famous.
Yeah,
So good. I don't know why I did this to illustrate that.
Sorry.
because it Bang Bang Bart. That reminds me of Bang Bang Bart
It
from
was like
I
Simpsons.
can't. No spoilies for anyone who's interested about the Stanley Cup playoffs right now, but oh my god, and I have to talk about this freaking mess on a podcast later. I really liked in Hidden Figures that they all had children.
Because
Yes,
they're
they all have
women.
children.
Like
And
you
that's what
bring
they
one
do.
moment of hockey on my podcast, it's a game over. Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively will come in next week when we talk about Barbie.
Derby.
But no, it was just nice to see their home life. Like much of the time in movies where you have one black character, you don't actually get to see my dog is not alone. My dog is currently
good.
being helped by the husband.
I
We're not
think your
torturing
dog
animals
is
here.
being trained to be blasted off into space, and there's nothing
She-
you
She
are.
can, oh my
blasted into
god, she
space.
can hear my voice and she's freaking out about it. She does not like when I'm podcasting, but she is being watched and taken care of. Please don't call like
Dog
she's being
Protective
watched.
Services.
The Russians.
Sorry. In these in movies, the black character, you don't often get to see their home life. Like it'll follow around the white characters. Like in a worst movie, we see more of Kevin Costner's character's home life and wife and like what he does than we see of any of the women. And I think like that's very key, that we actually don't get to know that much about the home life or the depth of any of the male characters, and it does focus on the three main ones. And then the fact that they all have children, they all did, which for me just makes it like even more just amazing what they've done. And one of them was a single mom, right? Catherine Goebel is a single mom living with her mother with 3 girls, like, and raising girls.
Tough life, man.
Exactly. Like, and then Octavia Spencer's character, she had like 6 kids.
Oh my
She had a lot of kids.
Like IRL. Yeah, she had like a lot of kids.
I think in the movie she had 2 boys. Yeah, like
boys.
you see them a couple times, like at the library and stuff, and when they're having a birthday party.
No, I think she had more than, it was just 2 of them that were with her at the library.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I might be making that up.
No, I think you're right, because the birthday party, the one boy is not one of the 2 boys who are in the library. It's like a completely different boy. So I think you're right there.
That scene, that library scene where she's in a restricted section.
Oh, this is the one that made me want to, like, if I was Octavia Spencer, want to punch through the books and just sucker punch that lady right in the face.
So she's in a library, and the librarian comes up to her and says, like, I don't want any trouble here, but like you can't be in this section. There are books for colored people in the colored section. And that just like taking away the ability to like learn and to like a public library system.
Which is like, I totally, that's kind of like the theme that they're all going through, right? Is like, we've got her being blocked by a shitty librarian. And then we've got Mary's character being blocked by an entire school district. And then we've got Catherine being blocked by literally like Black Sharpie. And it's like, they all have to find their own ways to get over the blocks. And then, like you guys are saying, there's additional roadblocks beyond that. And Mary's is pretty huge. She has to go to court and talk to a judge, whereas Octavia Spencer just steals the book. Yeah, she steals a book, learns all of the technology from the book, and then has to, like, you know, Pink Panther her way into the IBM room when no one's around, and is just secretly programming it herself, which is like, one of the most satisfying moments is when she goes up and she immediately is just like, well, that's in the wrong place.
And I love how she talks to the IBM like,
add a girl.
And it's like, it's like when she's like, it's one of her computers.
And it is. When she's like, oh, you have a brain, I can work with that.
It's like, aw, it's your friend.
I really like the speech that she gives and like it goes from being in the library to then her being in the back of the bus, right? Like that's such a big piece of the civil rights movement. And the speech that she gives to her sons, I was like, that's such a powerful thing for a kid to like. I'm scarred for life about seeing that plane fall out of the sky. Imagine watching your mother like teach herself coding in order to stay relevant and to continue to like be the best at what she does. And you get what I'm saying.
I mean, like, no, I also had like a crazy noise happening there for a second. I was
just like 1,000 horn honks a second.
When you act right, you are right.
Yeah, and then she also says, like, you know, I pay the taxes pay that building, so I didn't actually steal anything because
I paid for this book.
This is my book.
Pick up the book, I assume.
Not wrong, I guess.
And then
I do like when she
which is so great because she was the one that was like rising tide lifts all ships to Mary and to Catherine, and then she actively takes it upon herself, not just I'm going to better myself so that I can keep working. It's like, let me teach you programming now, and like let me make my whole unit more relevant than the white women over there who don't know how to program.
I do like this subplot that's like Dorothy goes in and she messes with the IBM and like fixes it because nobody else knows how to use this because she read the book. Because she
all the bumbling men.
Yeah. Then they catch her with the printout. Then they look at the printout and they're like, "Oh, your job is obsolete because you're able to do this." But meanwhile, Kirsten Dunst's character is just giving her like breadcrumbs through to her finally getting the supervisor role that she's wanted from the beginning of the movie. But it's a good like character arc to see her like go through all of that. I think it's an important, like she has like the least to do in the movie. Well, Rose does have, she has one of the biggest hurdles, but the least to do in the movie. But Octavia Spencer's character sort of has this through line of like, when she's doing her part, it's like a very behind the scenes thing, but she revolutionizes computers.
She has the best music, like, because she's always being observant of everything around her when she's walking through the NASA buildings. I don't know if you guys caught this, but every time she's like doing something that she maybe shouldn't be doing, there's this like really intense like noir trumpet that's playing in the background, like like this is where I get the Pink Panther-ness of it all, where I'm like, she is like a cat burglar, kind of like she's just sneaking around and she's getting information. She's doing things she's not supposed to do. She goes to Kirsten Dunst's office to deliver those folders or like the data, but she's not there to do that. She's there to like pry a little bit and be like, what's going on in the other building?
Watching her put
wonderful.
the dolly and then like have to try and like roll out the rest of them. I like that they kept that they just made a point of like watching her do that. Like
that was a really like it's a heavier moment than you think, because she shows up to like give some pertinent information. They're like, get the information out of here, and then she's just like
take those
looking at them, like rolling out of the room. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you. A real
Best to do
fuck
it all
you
in one
look.
trip.
But she was
Yes,
there.
that's
She
what
was
she
there
says.
to snoop, man. She was there. She accomplished her
She's
mission.
the spy.
Yeah.
She's the spy.
She's
Man,
spying
this
for
is
herself.
such
I'm
a
not
good
Russian.
Yeah.
This is
That was good too.
Somebody check her birth
she's not a spy.
certificate.
I'm not
I'm not
Russian. Yeah.
Russian.
We look Russian to you?
Yeah, I was
and then
kind
the
of
other lady's like,
surprised.
oh, I was just gonna say the other lady in the office, whose name I don't know, like the character's name, but she's always just repeating. She's almost like Sigourney Weaver's character in Galaxy Quest, where she's just repeating what other people are saying to other people. It's kind of funny, where she's like, "I'm not Russian," and then she goes, "She's not Russian." So, like immediately
She's not
afterwards. Yeah.
I felt so stupid watching that.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I wish I was super smart. Like and get like the math that she's doing and the theory that
Yeah.
she cut, like the really, really old math, like when they're taking
Yeah.
from elliptical to parabolic or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can
I was-
barely understand the 3 laws of planetary orbit by Johannes Kepler. Barely.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But I
know that
love
there's 8
watching
planets
movies
in
like
the solar
that.
system.
I don't know. I kind of understood.
I love
it,
watching
like,
movies that don't have it. That are talking about things that I don't get.
Yeah, you need the scene of Sheldon explaining how the orbit of the Earth works in order for the audience to kind of like be able to
I
sit
thought
back.
that was way too basic. He's like, it just has to go around.
I
So
mean,
it has to go
but
around and
it's-
then it has to go down.
It's
and
not.
it goes
It's
around
not there
and
for
it
you,
goes-
Yeah, you're
Noel. It's
going
there
around.
for. It's for dumb number 3 next
Yeah.
to you. He's like who's
You mean
passing out.
children? Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the fully grown man
No.
who's passing out because he just ate like a half pound of popcorn with butter all over it.
I'm just saying this movie is
Like,
very,
slow
very
down.
accessible. And I think like
Yeah.
for everything that it's trying to
It is.
do, the level of accessibility is really what makes it like it's such a good movie. It really is.
I get frustrated as a computer person. I get frustrated when they use computer. Like, this must be what it's like for somebody watching it as like like an astrophysicist might be like, that's derivative. But when I watched the computer stuff in this movie, was very like, it made sense because they didn't dwell on it too much and use jargon. So I wonder what it would be like if you were like, if that was your like expertise, if you
As a
were an
movie person,
astrophysicist.
I get frustrated with people who get frustrated about things like that in movies because I'm like, come on, guys, it's a fucking movie.
It's the video. It's
As a
really only
person,
video
I get
games.
frustrated.
As a person, I get frustrated with people. It's the video game stuff in movies that it just bugs me because it's like, do 10 seconds of.
I don't know. It used to bug me,
person.
but I don't care anymore. Like, there's a point.
Fair.
They became a point in my life where I was like, you know what? Things are changing so much, often, all the time, that it doesn't really matter. And like, as long as the audience knows what's going on, it doesn't matter if they're using the wrong controller for, if there's a PlayStation plugged in and they're using an Xbox controller. I'm not going to lose my fucking mind.
How does that even happen though?
They didn't have
Because-
both pieces when they were shooting that day.
Because the
Just
set
get it.
So many
director
things
isn't
can
a big
happen.
nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're like
That's
filming
fair.
stuff, and sometimes just gotta make things work.
I mean, they
Make
made
them-
all of X-Men without noticing where Wolverine's claws were coming out of in different scenes. You know, sometimes his claws come out of here, and then sometimes they come out.
One time they came out of right here and here, and he had like a metal mustache. He went like,
And then he put
The
on like
only-
a weird French accent, and he's like, "Oh, I am now from France." Like, what are
Or
you
like
doing?
Anna Paquin's accent, which actually was all over the place in
Yeah.
that. The only thing
Yeah.
that frustrates me in movies is anachronistic costuming in Jane Austen movies.
I mean, I guess I can get on board with that.
Those straps are not period.
That's another element of this movie that I really like is the costumes and the set dressing and
That first outfit,
the shoes.
that,
The shoes.
the first outfit that Catherine's wearing, I'm like, I would wear that if I was a hidden figure, or if I was, if it was a sweater, like if the same pattern was a sweater, I would wear it as a sweater. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. There's some
Oh,
good
just
clothes, good belts.
speaking of-
What about
Hidden
Kristen
figures.
Dunst dressed like a Amish person the entire time?
What a sour mouth.
Did she have a string of pearls?
She did,
Margot,
Yeah, she did. She did.
Margot
And-
Lee Shetterly is the person who wrote the book, which actually came out the same year as the movie. So the book was optioned before it had been completed. And her father worked in Langley with like the three women, and then the one who was left out of the movie, Christine Darden, I believe, as well. So yeah, this was something like in her town, and like part of how she grew up was the like NASA world. Can't remember what her father did. But yeah, that was sort of the impetus for her to write the nonfiction book.
Cool.
And she is a Black lady, so
Does
Margot
the book
Lee Shetterly.
does
There
the
you go.
book play a
Cool.
lot more like an autobiography,
It
or
plays
is
like a
still,
history.
Like, hasn't like a history doesn't have like the narrative
It follows
the movie has?
arc, but it starts out by talking about like this is why they needed a computer thing. This is why Black women were pulled from the pool for computing because there was a lack of like you didn't have enough of a workforce for this. So it operates like a history in that sense. Like it's walking you through like the different things, and then it does take you through. I didn't get to the meat and potatoes of the story. But it doesn't read like a biography or a biopic. It reads like this is a book about hidden figures.
What did the first like couple chapters cover? Just like that opening, like does it open with talking about her as a kid, or does it go right into the story?
No, it talks about, so the prologue is her talking about her experience in Langley and like her experience with her father working with them, and then it goes into like why like that these women were educated and then they were brought into this pool, and the reason that they were was like the thing that I just said. Like that's all the first part of like, and these women were teachers, and usually these kinds of jobs were the jobs that Black men had, but in Langley they wanted to be this, and so like it's kind of sets the scene like that. It doesn't like actually follow Catherine Goebel through. Like it's a much more.
I was saying now that you've mentioned it, that there was like, no Black men at NASA. It seems like you're either a white dude, a white woman, or a Black woman.
Yeah, so that's not true. Like IRL, there were definitely Black men.
I mean, of course there
there
must have been, but in the movie,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
realize
The only Black men are the husbands, which is such a turnaround from what you'd usually see, where it's just like the wife at home.
Yeah, I wonder if that was like a deliberate choice, just to never kind of like break the contrast between them and what they're working against. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also a level of complexity that you're adding in that's not as like, it's so simple. The way that like the structure of the movie is so easy that I think adding that layer would just,
it would kind of
it makes it less like girls club.
It's too real.
Like, rah. Let's go.
Right.
Like you're rooting for these women. And...
Girl power, blah blah blah, feminism.
Well, the husband is like a girl. a woman engineer, the audacity, and then the Mahershala Ali is just kind of like, I don't know.
I
I
shoot
don't
guns at
know.
people.
I win the war.
The scene where he proposes to Catherine and all of the kids
I thought
at the
that was
table,
sweet.
super excited. That was really sweet.
Yeah.
They were married
because
It's
for
nice when the kids
forever,
are
right?
excited.
the idea that it's like, well, he even says like, we'll do something romantic later, but I am kind of marrying like your whole family. And then the grandmother is like, that's amazing. I liked that. I got a little bit of a like, my cold dark
You felt a
heart.
human emotion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for once.
But there's
I almost started-
also a little bit there's also a little bit of the like
Yeah.
now she's
Wow.
saved because now she's married. It's like, oh good, you found another man.
Well, we couldn't have a
But then we
unmarried
get
woman.
immediately right after that she gets fired. Like right after the engagement scene, she's fired. So it's like,
And she gets the pearl necklace
yeah, she gets the pearl necklace, and
from White Savior Costner.
yeah. Yeah,
Dr.
but you know
Waterworld
what though? Like,
himself.
who else would know about? Unless she went home and told everybody about that, no one would really know, right? So it is kind of a nice thing, I guess.
It's a nice moment, but it's
Yeah.
there to humanize him
Him,
and
yeah.
to make him like the good guy, right? Like he's
Yeah.
believed in her the whole time. It's part of his, like, he doesn't have character growth. It's not like he hated her at the beginning. Like he's just
No.
kind of like on her side.
Yeah,
And that's just like oh, he's such a good guy.
but really, he's just like, he hasn't seen his wife in 6 months.
There are good guys out there. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
true.
They exist. I swear to God, I've met one.
But
or
I
two
think
of them.
he didn't, like you said, he wasn't aware.
Yeah,
Like even
he's too
when
focused.
Catherine comes in and she's like, "Can I go?" and he's like, "What? Go? Oh,
Go home?
Yeah.
What are you
Oh
talking
God, go! Yeah, go,
Yeah.
go,
Wait,
go!"
what
It's
time
like
is
he doesn't even understand what she's.
There's no
talking
windows
about.
in there either. He doesn't know what time of day it is.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Wait, where do you go? Where are you going to the bathroom?" It's like it's just he he doesn't
Like a 15-minute walk away.
understand this
Yeah.
this like
What?
like sociological experiment that's happening.
You can tell
I'm
that
not-
the look on his face. He is like, wait, like the gears are going, and he's like, holy shit! Wait, you have
I
to
know,
walk
and you're
15
and you're
minutes
just like
to take a piss?
you're the boss. All these smart
Yeah.
science people. They're doing the
You
math.
just have to
people,
act
come
like a
on,
boss.
Get there.
That's-
Get there.
so- I do like his performance though. Like I like that character. I think it's like tropey and like my like feminism brain and intersectionalities, whatever brain is like, but like Kevin Costner does a great job at it. So
Yeah, I like old Costner with glasses. That's a good look. Like when I see him and stuff, I'm like, I like.
did you
this
ever
version.
watch a show called The
Brunch
Wrong
Club?
Coast? It was Mark Hamill who was one of the voice actors, and it was like a fake news show where they would.
Oh,
It was like a fake Hollywood like thing where they
I
would
think
talk about
so, yeah.
movies, and
Yeah.
one of them was Swatawatata, and it was at the same time as SWAT came out, and it was special weapons and tactics as well as the ability to appraise antiques. So it was a combination of SWAT and Antiques Roadshow, Swatawatata. But then they had
I don't
a
remember this
composite of water wolves with the
Okay.
most expensive, longest movie ever made, is what they said, because it was
Right.
Waterworld and Dances with Wolves. Okay.
Waterworld. What a piece of
Swatawatata.
shit. Swatawatata. That's a good one. Where were we? The pearls. We get the nice scene at the courthouse, and then we get her going to night classes after giving like the good speech. We already touched on it a little bit, but it is like,
And then she gives another good speech.
at
She's like, I'm
the class.
enrolled.
Yeah, I'm allowed to be here.
Is there a colored section, or can I just pick a seat?
Yeah,
There's
She
no,
is just-
they're all extras
She's
in this
always
scene.
so
like
cool. She's so cool.
she might as well have a satchel just full of microphones that she's just constantly dropping as she's walking around. Like,
I don't see a colored section.
yeah,
but
and then she sits in the
anyway.
front fucking row, center row, in front of the nerdiest looking man
Boom.
you've ever seen in
And
your
takes
life.
out her fancy pens that her husband gave
Oh
her.
yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
The lead pens. I was really bad at calculus, so I had to go to York University to get tutored by one of the like math nerds there, and she had those pens, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And she pressed down so hard on them as she was trying to teach me about limits and stuff.
I'm too
Aw.
dumb for math. This
It's
this
really bad
movie made
calculus.
me feel so inferior as a human being. I was so bad at
Well, you
math.
mean you've never been to space?
I've never been to space and I hate
No.
going. Not until it's commercial.
No, Steve. I saw this good thing on the internet. Okay, I'm going to tell you about it. It said on the internet that if a kid is not so good at math but really good at, I don't know what it said, but are really good at drawing, most
Okay.
people would get this kid a math tutor, right, to get their math up. But maybe the right thing to do is then to get them a drawing coach so that they increase the skills that they're already naturally good at and inclined to do. Like, we are always trying to bring up the things we're not good at, but maybe we should just be focusing on the things that we do enjoy and do like and give our all into that.
That's true.
You have a calculator in your
Catherine.
pocket.
Yeah. Like
do.
Catherine at the beginning of the movie, where they were like, she's smart. Let's like, and it's so sweet that the
Yeah.
teachers pulled together and she was, or was that Mary? I don't know.
Because I
That's
need to bring up
Catherine.
Final
It's Catherine.
Fantasy
That was
and
Catherine,
video
okay.
games in every single episode of the show at some point. It's been a while since I did that.
You did
the
it
thing
last
that you're-
week.
The thing that you're saying, Caitlin, about that is in RPG video games, instead of trying to enhance the statistics of somebody that way with items, I usually just jam all the items onto the person that has those high stats to increase their stats further. That said, I fully agree in a reality like setting. I fully agree that you should, with children, hone their abilities that they're good at. And especially with math, I'm bad at math. I felt I saw the writing on the wall when I was a kid. I was like, computers are a thing. Math is inconsequential unless you like need it, but I can do all the math I'll ever need to do with a calculator. So I don't need to like learn math because I'm not going to become a physics professor. You know, I'm not going to become an astrophysicist. I'm not going to need to utilize math to do things. So I got good at the things that I was good at, like art and like I'm great at writing. You know,
Yeah.
like I can write really well because I think it's more
Way to
important
go.
to focus on the things that you're good at.
Phillips.
Look at everyone's so
Yeah.
talented. See, I went the opposite direction where I just have like a breadth of knowledge, but nothing good enough.
Jack of all trades,
That's
baby.
that's probably not
Jack of all
true.
trades, master of none is often better than master of one.
Hey,
that's
you know the
that's
full
whole thing.
saying? Not a lot of people know that.
That's like
Brett.
the customer is always right in
matters of taste.
In matters of taste,
Which means
yeah.
if that customer wants to wear an ugly hat, you say,
you say hell yeah, buy it.
Yeah.
But
If
if
it-
they're like, this chicken isn't steak, it's like you got to put them in their place. You order chicken. Why do you want steak
Yeah.
now?
Sometimes there's facts.
Yeah, sometimes there's reality.
Sometimes
I
the
just
earth
think
is
chicken
not
of
flat.
the sea. Remember that?
Ugh.
chicken of the sea, chicken of the highway
So is it
overpass.
chicken or is it fish? It was Ashley Simpson's sister.
Jessica Simpson?
Yes.
The more
Usually-
famous.
much
Usually
more
it's
well-
the opposite.
No,
Yeah.
I'm an
Oh,
Ashley
yeah.
Simpson person.
No, Tim is right. Tuna is the chicken of the sea, which I
Yes,
think is like
exactly.
a
And she didn't
70s,
know-
80s thing.
But
You didn't
tuna
know
is the
if it was
most
fish or
expensive
chicken.
now. Tuna's the-
Remember when it was like 50 cents for albacore and now it's like, oh my, I can't. Like, when did this happen? I just went to the grocery store one day and it was like $4. And I was like, what?
Well, it's because you're only supposed to eat a can a week, otherwise you get mercury poisoning.
Yeah,
Well, that explains
that's
that.
true.
Then you go
In this
insane.
hellscape of a world
They're
we live
trying
in
to-
now.
Ew.
And Mercury is a planet, and this movie.
Yeah, and our solar system has 8 planets, and the third one from the sun is Earth, where this movie takes place. Hidden Figures.
There's a great little super simple song that goes 8 little planets circling the sun. It's a bop. 7 little planets. Maybe Craig knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jason likes
Probably
it.
he's got
It's a-
two little boys.
It's a bop.
Craig's gonna be so stoked because I'm sure that I think I don't have kids myself, but I know that people who have kids are like they kind of get indoctrinated by kids shows, so they kind of become fans. So I'm sure that Craig
Like how
has a lot
Bluey
of,
is like.
yeah, or even shows like SpongeBob and stuff that you grew
That's
up
an
with
adult
as
show.
kids.
Don't
I
lie.
know that was a bad example. Bob the Builder, is that's the
Bob le Bricolier.
Yep, the Bob le Bricolier. I'm sure Craig has
Caillou?
like
Caillou.
that
Isn't he
bald
hated
bitch.
by the internet at this point?
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck Caillou. Pengo can get it though.
But
Pengo
he's just
can
a
get
kid
it.
who's 4.
Yeah, he sucks. He's a little
Each day
whiny
there's something more.
biatch.
Yeah. He's
At any rate,
Caillou.
I'm sure that
Wow,
Craig
you're a
has,
poet.
Caillou.
What a poet you are.
I'm sure that Craig has watched your
Watched a lot of
content
Teletoon.
indirectly.
I feel like we're
hours and
shouting out
hours.
Craig way too
Must.
much this episode.
Listen,
Jason.
he
Let's move
when
on.
I had a
Hello,
podcast
Craig,
about
Steven.
Blossom, he was
He
my
likes
co-host
my
on Blossom
work.
Buddies.
Let's talk
I
about
like
Craig
your
as
work
much
too.
as we want.
All right,
Thanks,
all
Steven.
right. Craig, I'm glad you're watching. So, the movie Hidden Figures. Let's talk about Captain America a little bit more because I just want to
Yeah, I
talk
hate Glenn
about
Powell,
how
as
he
it
is
turns out.
basically in this movie modeled after what we have grown to know as Captain America in the MCU, where he's like handsome, charming, but not really funny. Like he always has like a half charming thing to say.
I understood that reference.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
reference.
Like when he first comes up and he's like, they don't even know how to build a refrigerator. How are they going to get us to space?
I
Am
like
right?
those numbers.
Yeah, it's like or when she like says the speed of the capsule, and he's like, "Well, that's a hell of a speeding ticket, am I right?" And like the whole room kind
Yeah.
of chuckles to themselves, and you're like,
Oh
"Oh
my
god, let
God.
this
I
guy
do
in the room."
like when he's on that Bell payphone and like he's like, "What about the girl, the smart girl with the numbers? Like,
Yeah.
get her to run the numbers, then I'll go to
Yeah.
space." Like,
And he's
But
like,
if
"You
you-
mean Catherine?"
If you were about
Noble?"
to enter a potential like death capsule,
Yeah,
like I
Just
want
ask
the person with
Laika.
the chalk who did
didn't
the
work out for
thing.
her.
I mean, they do have that moment where she finally is able to go into like the Pentagon meeting or whatever with all the big wigs of the military and space program. And
Is the Pentagon in Langley?
No, but they call it the
No.
Pentagon meetings because I think it's just people from the Pentagon are there. But
Ah,
they refer to it as Pentagon meetings. I don't know
my
if
bad,
that's
my
what
bad.
that means. Yeah. But he's there, and so are the other astronauts that we don't really get any more introduction to. He's like the main astronaut, I guess, of the movie. And he's making his quips. She goes up and does her like beautiful mind, like explaining the work as she's doing it, and the music is swelling, and it's
I also
very
described that
exciting.
moment as a beautiful mind, and I felt bad for doing it that way. Just
Well, I mean
I
to
was
say that she's
thinking of,
on a chalkboard while intense music.
I
is
know,
playing.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So you
I'm
can't
with
do the Bart Simpson. Like he was writing on a chalkboard too.
Okay, so she does the Bart Simpson where she's being punished and she's writing the same line over and over and over again.
I will not
Yes.
do.
Says, I will
science
not let the
while-
capsule
while being a
explode. I will
woman."
not let the capsule explode.
What's the movie? I can't remember the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon movie.
Oh,
Good
It's not
Will
as good as
Hunting?
it gets. Good Will Hunting. Okay, thank you.
As
Oh,
good
yeah,
as it
yeah.
gets.
How do you like them apples?
How do you like them apples? I love that
How
movie
do you like
too.
them apples over you?
It's not your
I
fault.
I watched. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Anyway, that's another good plane movie. It seems to be on all the planes. Anyway, I just needed to remember. I couldn't remember.
How many planes are you on?
I'm on a lot of planes. I was recently on some very long planes.
Is it a Boeing? Were you on a Boeing?
I was on a Boeing, and
I was on
watched,
a Boeing to Mexico.
I watched the John Oliver Boeing expose the days before I went on a Boeing.
You were like, please don't be a Boeing. Please don't be a
Yeah.
Boeing. You're like, oh, God.
I'm
And
so
then you're
mad.
like, hook style. You're like holding
I
on to
know.
the arms.
It's like
For
a
a
couple
meeting.
days where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
And the kid's just bouncing a baseball off the ceiling. And just
Did
like,
you guys hear about
And then your
the-
husband draws a picture of the plane crashing, and it's like you and him falling, but you don't have a parachute for some reason. You're like,
Oh my
where's my
God.
parachute?
Remember not to inflate your thing until you are out of the plane, because I watched a thing where a whole bunch of people died because of that.
Dark.
They could have saved more people if they hadn't inflated it, because then they got stuck in the plane. They couldn't get out.
Really?
I would like
That's why they have
to-
to make those videos really entertaining the way they do. So
Yeah.
people
I would like to
pay attention.
quickly interject. The time is now 10:30.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Just as a checkup.
I'm drunking.
I don't want to go past 11 tonight.
Well,
think that's
we're
unnecessary.
I think we're
almost at the end.
in
This
the
is
home
a pretty
stretch.
long movie. I was actually surprised to learn.
2 hours and 6
Yeah.
minutes. I think 6 minutes of those were
Well, I mean,
credits.
we've kind of been.
We covered pretty much
We got a lot.
everything.
We really did.
is there? I think the reason I bring this up now is there anything, any scenes we didn't talk about, anything you want to talk about at length? We got probably 10 minutes before we have to go.
I mean, we
into
haven't
our...
talked about this ship fucking up in space yet. That's pretty much all
right, and that's that the end sequence of this film is very good in my opinion. I thought the part where once he's in space and then Math saves the
heat shield
day
starts blowing up.
The thing is, like, so my logic brain took over, where I'm like, if this man died in reality in this way, I would know about this. Like, I would already.
I thought he was going to die.
I know, but this is what, because every space tragedy that's ever happened that has been successfully like launched into space, I pretty much have heard about in some capacity in my life when it comes to United States launches. So I wasn't too worried about it. I was like, he's getting back. I would have known.
I knew who
Powell
John
if he had
Glenn
died
was.
Tragically.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been a sad ending to otherwise uplifting.
But it was still exciting.
So the math didn't save, like, wasn't used while he was in flight. It was the don't release the whatever for the heat shields or whatever, which is what Mary Jackson said to herself. And then I think they all said it at one point. It's like, it will work, but the math was just the go, no go, right? And so
and then the landing coordinates. And the landing coordinates were spot on.
They didn't abort that mission IRL. It was only supposed to be 3 rotations.
Why? Why even add that in? Because
it's true, they didn't really need to add that in.
Because
I think it's because early in the movie,
the end when I'm mad now. At the end when they say all the real life things that people went on to do, they're like he completed 3 out of 7 planned. Like, they say that as if it's a fact.
Yeah. I thought it was because they mentioned at the beginning of the movie that like the unmanned things were getting up to like 1,700 kilometers an hour, where you reach a different.
That's one speeding ticket.
Heyo. I think that if he had continued to go up there, another revolution would have destroyed the ship, or his physical body would not be able to handle.
I know, but what Nola's saying is that didn't happen. This didn't happen. This whole
thing
didn't happen.
Why make it be like a thing that they?
Because I guess they wanted an exciting ending, like an Apollo 13 style.
Is this sci-fi? Is this movie sci-fi? Are we finding out?
I don't know.
Something fi.
So they
needed a reason to go get her.
Mary says, "Don't eject the thing," and then Kevin Costner also repeats that like right afterwards. So it's like they're all sharing the same.
And then Catherine is like, "It will work.
It'll work. I swear."
Even though she wasn't in the room.
Yeah. So yes, you also mentioned that, but yeah, this whole end seems like a sham to me. I'm now disgusted to speak about it. Let's move on. Let's get out of here.
Well, I think the very last piece is when she was fired, right? They brought her back in to do the math because the IBM had 2 different coordinates and she got more decimal points than the IBM did. And then they were like, how about going to the moon? So then she went on to calculate moon landing, like stuff. So that was the to the moon.
I guess it is a more exciting ending because the fact that she wasn't let allowed into the room is very sad to me. And when I thought that was going to be a possibility in this movie, I legitimately got upset and started tearing up at my TV. And I was like, what the fuck? Let her in.
Yeah, I thought they weren't going to let her in.
She worked so hard for this moment. And to find out that she wasn't allowed in the room actually is upsetting to me because that little worm guy that ran all the way across campus, who'd worked with her for a year, didn't even remember who she was. Fuck. He got to go in there. And he's got a worm face. Do you see that worm face? Good God.
I don't actually remember his face.
He just.
But now I'm gonna watch it. I want the worm guy.
The whole time when they're doing the looking at the page thing, Kevin Costner looks at the page, and then Sheldon looks at the page, and then after the scene is over, he's walking out, and he's the last one to leave, and he's like trying to look at the page as he's walking off camera.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't really have any other things that I can think of that we haven't covered.
All right.
Yeah, my last note is get some where they are now moments.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Will we get to end the movie with some really great freeze frames and then show the real people versus the actors, which
Yeah.
I always like that in a movie.
And we should have played "Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone."
No, they should have played "Ooh."
It reminded me of A League of Their Own, where the last scenes are the Girls Professional Baseball Association players playing,
right?
And then they have like the fake museum scene. Like it's just like these kinds of movies. I'm always like at the end.
Right. It feels very nice. Yeah, and like I like that you didn't just see the three of them as well. They threw in a bunch of the other characters as well. Like the husbands and stuff. And I was just like, it felt very nice, and it felt hopeful. And the fact that they went on, like one of them was almost 100 years old before they passed away. It's like,
I know,
and they were together for 57 years. Yeah, so it's very nice. And they were extremely successful in their careers, and they worked for, in their fields up until, whenever they retired, which is
and
beautiful.
now more people.
And now there's a movie.
Yeah. And now there's a movie about it.
There's a movie.
Yeah.
Hi, Arjun.
And then one of the things that I wanted to say was like, movies like this, they are good because they're inspirational, but like there is like as we were talking about before, there was some pretty inspirational things going on space-wise when we were little kids, like the rover program and all that kind of stuff, like going
and
to
the one
Mars.
Teacher that blew up in space.
Yeah, they showed that to us on the live
first
feed,
ever
and I saw it in grade 1, and I saw it, and
I'm talking about the inspirational ones, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Trying to have a moment here.
Sorry, there's an American Girl doll.
We're gonna end with crashes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. So sorry. There's an American Girl doll whose story is about watching the Challenger or Columbia, the one with the teacher blow up in 1986.
Wow.
It's so weird. It's 1991.
There was Challenger and Columbia.
Oh, yeah, right.
I remember Columbia. Challenger, I think, was before I was born.
That's the 86 one.
Yeah, that's the one she watched blow up with the first civilian in space. And like her story is about her wanting to do space travel, and then she watches this in her classroom, and all the students are like, "What's happening?" Anyway,
she's like, "I want to be an astronaut." And she's like watching the rubble fall through the atmosphere.
Yeah, all the kids are crying. It's wild.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll make my point and my final thoughts when I can't be interrupted.
If you had just one,
so should we move on
Home Alone?
to
the Home Alone of it all?
Yeah,
the tiny hat of it all, the tiny pride hat of it all.
If you had to pick one,
What do you think
the
when
Home Alone of
is
it all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I really gotta know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
So
Christmas.
it's kind of changed.
every episode we play a Christmas song. It's kind of crazy.
It's kind of changed to be sort of like the guests go first, but for this one, because I kind of want to explain what it is, I'll go first. The Home Alone of it all is from the moment in the movie Home Alone where Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint of how he's going to mercilessly destroy these two cat burglars. And that's sort of what we were all there to see. We were all there to see how he was going to booby trap this home. And we've sort of posited that the Home Alone of it all can be sort of what you're there to see, the trailer moments that lead up to it, or even the third act. So for me, the Home Alone of it all this week is probably when they all level up their jobs, when they all move on to their second things. And it also might be when John Glenn, that's his name.
Glenn Powell?
No, John, the astronaut.
John Glenn. Yeah.
That final sequence where he's in space, I thought was sort of one of those Home Alone of it all. So with that, Caitlin, I'll throw it over to you. Hopefully you understood what I mean by that.
Well, if it's a moment or what I'm there for, because when I think of Hidden Figures in my mind, and this is kind of, I'm a little embarrassed by my superficial answer, but I love the costumes and the running. I love running back and forth, and the shoes. And I also love like the lipstick. Like I don't know, there's something about I don't know the lipstick.
There is some good
I don't know.
lipstick in
I'm
this
kind of
movie, yeah.
mesmerized by it. And Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
that's
Janelle
pretty
Monáe's like lipstick in the courtroom scene is pretty hypnotic. It's like
Just-
double colored lip, and it like, yeah,
Just how
shaped her mouth
cool
very
she
unique.
is. She's so cool.
She is cool.
She's my Home Alone.
She's the Home Alone of it all.
No, I've been trying to explain this to you for months and a year now. But do you finally kind of get what I mean?
I'm just gonna do whatever feels right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is.
For me, the Home Alone of it all, and it's the cheesy scene. It's the girls unite end game scene, but it's when all the women from the West Computing Division are walking through the hallway.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my whole like they're all
use that in the
walking,
video. Yeah,
and I love it. I love it so much.
that's the
So
title
they're
card.
leaving the yeah, it's perfect. Upwards mobility,
Yeah.
STEM power.
I mean, I think for me, it's when she first enters the operations chamber, like the bullpen of the mathematics division, the circular room. When she walks in, I'm like picturing Hank Scorpio coming up and being like, "Hang my coat up on that wall." And it's like, there's no walls. We don't have any walls here. It's just like it also like her isolation. No one's really paying her any attention until they do, and then all their attention is on her, and then she goes right into it. They all get back to their work, and then as soon as she pours the coffee, everybody in the room kind of stops doing their work and looks over like, "What the fuck is she doing? She can't just come in here and drink our coffee." I think that like that whole series of events is the Home Alone of it all, because I think it sets the stage for some of the most powerful moments of the movie that are yet to come, I guess. Yeah, that's my Home Alone of it all.
Yeah, no, those are.
I
those
said
are all great
lipstick.
selections.
Mine wasn't great. You don't have to say
I
that.
think the lipstick is a good answer. I never
No, I like
considered
that.
it until you said it.
Mesmerized by Janelle Monáe is a
Yeah.
very good, because she's captivating through this whole film. Every time she's on screen, it's like, yeah, what's she up to? When she's off screen, you're asking, where's Janelle Monáe? So it's perfect.
I think also like that room.
They're
what's it
all
called?
mesmerizing.
The something group. What's it called? The words on the wall leading into that
computer-
circular room.
Does
Oh, the space task.
It's the something group.
yes, something like that.
Space task.
The space task
force.
group, I think. Yeah, and then you see that as she's going in, and then that's where it ends. The movie kind of pans out through those doors, and you see that on the wall again, and it's like her framed with Costner and Sheldon framed as well. It's really really pretty looking.
I don't like The Big Bang Theory. I gotta say,
I don't either, but I'm still
No.
calling him Sheldon.
No.
I don't remember what his character's name was. Stafford.
It's
I think?
Sheldon. In that
Stafford.
movie. the music and the like the vocals and the score reminded me a bit of Gladiator.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean,
That
I
was
like
my-
that all three of them had their own individual music for accomplishments and goals and stuff. Like
leitmotifs.
Yeah, Mary's was kind of almost like a it was almost like church choir music, of that certain like
Gospel.
like gospel music. Yeah, like when she leaves the courthouse, it's very kind of like bombastic as she's walking away, and she's like, "Ee!" But you can kind of hear that every time she's doing something. And then I mentioned the trumpet earlier, like the mysterious trumpet when Octavia Spencer is doing stuff, and that gets kind of like larger and larger as she's doing what she's doing as well. And then Catherine's character, it's like this sort of like this almost like ethereal choir mixed with this like technical kind of like string stuff that's going on. Yeah, it's all good, man. All of it is so good. Yeah. It's a good movie, guys. Anyway, should we play? I think we have to play a game before we get out.
Gotta play a little bit of a game before we get out of here.
Game fun.
No.
It's time to play
well,
Oh, hold on, Jason. I played the wrong one. Where's the new one?
Did you load it up?
I loaded. We played it last week.
He's
No,
just
last week you also said it. Did I load it up?
Oh shit!
It's
right.
fine. Hello and welcome to the greatest game show that ever existed. My name, of course, is Figuro Hidowski, and I am your host this week. The rules are simple. There's a 5-digit number that's associated with every movie that the MPAA gives to that film to indicate that it's been rated by the MPAA. That fact is completely irrelevant. I'm gonna give you 2 numbers, and all you have to do, it's a 5-digit number. Did I say that? I don't remember.
You did.
I'm gonna give you 2 numbers. All you have to do is guess a number between 0, okay, and 999. And this week, the first 2 numbers of the MPAA certificate rating for this film, Hidden Figures, is 50. So, Caitlin, please give me a number between 0
A number
and
between
999. And I'll tell you if it's
That's
higher or
gonna-
lower. We're gonna go through this twice. That's all. Yeah.
144.
Higher, Noel.
314.
Higher, Steve.
900.
Lower, Caitlin.
769.
Lower, Noel.
583.
Steve, lower.
520. Ah, God, I hate this noise.
Nope, you guys did not get it this week. The number, of course. It's 50479.
Oh darn! I didn't know it was a timed thing.
No,
It
it's
we have to
No,
get
no,
it.
it's
Oh,
really
I-
good
I-
turns. You only get
I
2
can tell.
tries.
Yeah, it's just
Turns.
2 each.
Oh,
I
that's
can
really
tell
hard
Steve-
then.
It's stupid.
It's impossible.
It should be
It's literally
timed.
impossible.
Stupid.
It's a better game to do it if it's timed.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
Steven, can you do me a solid and do the sound from the Jason movie that's like Thank you.
Well, thank you for that because that was super funny to me. It always is. Just
I have
Caitlin.
to officially request that you do not use that buzzer anymore. It actually
It's
hurts my
loud.
It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna find a new buzzer.
Steve, you should record one.
It's just
Steve,
me
you
going,
should make one.
loser,
Make with your voice.
loser, loser.
Loser.
Actually,
Move on, loser.
make an
That's
opposite
a
of winner
Twister. Oh my
gagnon.
God, Twister.
Oh, or you could do it like the lotto, like the winner, gagnon,
Yeah.
only like
Oh, that's
Put
the
the
best.
opposite. Loser.
No cadeau. That's what it is.
yes.
No prize. Sans cadeau.
I made that. I found that buzzer sound and I wanted to use it in like a Tim and Eric way, but in the Tim and Eric way, it buzzes and
Oh,
it like
Tim.
sort of goes bzzz. But that one just sucks. It's horrible. But anyway, that's the MPAA rating game, and this has been another episode of Hey, Did You See This One? But before we get over here, though, there's one final thing we need to do, and that's our final thoughts.
It's time for our final thoughts.
Just like at the beginning of the show, it is customary on Hey, Did You See This One for our guests to go first, since Noel is going to have plenty of time to tell us about their thoughts in general. Caitlin, why don't you tell us your final thoughts? And if you want to give it a rating, whether it be out of 5 or out of 10 or some nonsense, non sequitur, please let us know how you felt about the film Hidden Figures.
Wait, ratings are hard for me. In like a numerical sense. With math, I liked Hidden Figures. I'll use my literary words. I really like Hidden Figures, and I feel like Janelle Monáe's speech, that's maybe like a runner-up for my Home Alone. There's the lipstick and her speech that she gives to the judge and about being the first. This is my first guest spot on this podcast, and it was nice, and it's a good movie. I don't know. Is that good? Did I do it?
Yeah, that's good.
They all left,
I mean,
so it was great.
Sure.
Yeah,
Do
you
wanna
guys
give
are
it some sort
really
of-
oh, am I hanging? I give this movie 8 floating dogs in space.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm moving clapping to the top. It's the one I can always never.
Yeah, move the Undertaker bell to the top too.
Oh God, the bell.
I got it. Tiny Pride Hat Noel. Why don't you tell us about your final thoughts?
Is this movie perfect? No. Are any movies perfect? No. This movie is fantastic. I hope that if it inspires one girl, one young woman to have a career in STEM, it has already done what I need it to do. Everyone should go see this. If you're sleeping on this movie, go watch it. This is a 4.5 out of 5. And did it pass Bechdel test? Probably. They talk a lot. I don't know. It's not a perfect metric. But yes, 4.5 out of 5. Excellent movie. Please watch it. Is it a feminist masterpiece? Yes.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
sorry.
On the record.
Is it a feminist masterpiece?
I agree with Noel. I once got in trouble though. I don't know if this is another tangent, but I studied film in school, and we took a feminist studies course, and the course was basically people telling us that all these women in films that were portrayed to be masculine were feminist films. And I did an argument that Bridget Jones' Diary was a feminist masterpiece, and everyone's like, "No, you're wrong." And I was like, I think I could be right though.
Well, it's based on Pride and Prejudice, though, which is like a feminist masterpiece in itself. About you know what? That's a different.
But it's also like, it's a woman and she's dealing with all the bullshit that women have to deal with. That doesn't mean that, and then she's doing her own thing, and sure, she's bumbling through it. But how is this not a feminist film? But these other ones, there's like women doing their best impression of a dude. Is okay. So yes, female masterpiece. Fireworks.
The Jason sound. The Jason sound, please.
Women getting it.
Fun fact. I saw a fun fact that stated that 2 women talking about the Bechdel test doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
Bechdel.
So.
They like cancel each other out.
Yeah. I do that now just to mess with you, Noel. I say it wrong. Yep. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
It's the Bechdel-Wallace test, if you really want to be pedantic about it.
Bechdel and Wallace are talking, and they're not talking about women enough. Steve, what's your final thought on the old Hidden Figure?
I have been wanting to watch this movie for a long time, and I was putting it off because I wanted to save it for the podcast, but I was also putting it off because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, and whether or not it was going to be something that made me feel too many feelings that make my silly little brain uncomfortable and my warm little heart sink into my tummy and make me feel bad. But it did the complete opposite. It made me feel warm. And Noel, as you pointed out a few times, this movie is a very good, feel-good film. It's very easy to watch. It's easy to comprehend, and it's not too bogged down in the complexities of the era and the uncomfortable nature of, the civil rights movement and women in the workplace, people of color in the workplace within that era. It definitely utilizes them as both storytelling devices and learning experiences for people who are maybe a little bit too comfortable in their lives. It's not an uncomfortable movie to watch, but it doesn't put you into a place of being too comfortable. You're still reminded of things over and over, and it's a good thing. I enjoyed, I think, like 99% of the performances in this. Even Captain America with his like
It was just
glib,
Kirsten
shitty
Dunst.
smile.
Eh?
I liked her too. I didn't dislike her performance. I thought it was good. I thought that she was playing somebody who has this very dark cloud following her around, this sort of like ball and chain on her ankle. That's like, you know, she understands that she's about to drown in this new world that she doesn't understand. She has her giant typewriter calculator, and that's all she knows and needs. She doesn't want to have to use the IBM. But when it comes down to how I felt about it, I think this movie is delightful, is the word that I would use. I felt really good throughout all of it. And like most of you so far, I guess we don't know what Jason's going to say. I recommend it. I definitely recommend it. And I would recommend it to anyone. It's not like there's a certain type of person that I would say, oh, you're not going to like that. I think that anybody can watch this and have a very good time. A rating. I give it the square root of an isosceles triangle is equal to the sums of the two remaining sides. Is that the line from The Wizard of Oz?
We'll never know.
Oh, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
If
what
I
it
only
is.
had a brain.
Everybody just read a paragraph for a moment. The filmmakers made a sincere effort to make a meaningful story while also being captivating, makes it highly recommended and should be shared. Thanks for covering this movie tonight. If Tim has been on this show like 7 times, and that's his final thought. So it's like he was here in spirit. Thank you, Tim. Do you want to give him the old clap and dong? Because that's a really good in summation, sort of. Ducky.
Sorry, can I say one quick thing that I forgot in my final thought? I really wish that there hadn't been only white people writing and directing, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we can. I agree. I agree.
I would agree with that as well. For me, great film.
I agree too.
Glenn Powell, I wanted to say this during the show, but I didn't really get a chance. But Glenn Powell is if Aaron Eckhart was a golden retriever, like a literal dog man.
like Mr. Peanut Butter?
Yeah, well, that's funny because I looked up Mr. Peanut Butter to make sure it wasn't Glenn Powell. It's Paul F. Tompkins who plays that character, but if something in my head was like, is Glenn Powell on BoJack? Because he might be.
He's not a voice actor. He's on Rick and Morty.
He is exactly. Right. So
Flashbacks to a Greg Kinnear conversation.
A little bit too. Overlooked figures that hold a special place. It's a really good plot device, and also it's great that is what happened. They pushed forward and made a huge splash in that scientific area, which is a great story that needs to be told. I think it's very important that this film be shown to people who don't know about history like that. I really like the story, having the modern soundtrack put over it through most of the film. Kevin Costner was really good in this, people always kind of chalk him up to be a ham, kind of like, oh, he's in a baseball movie, he's on Yellowstone, but he really knocked it out of the park in this movie. And it has this sort of feel good gut punch, ebb and flow through the whole thing, which I really think is like a good thing to do, to sort of like get your guard down, make you feel good, and then be like, remember, or you might not remember because you probably didn't experience it, but oops, this is the way things were, and in a lot of ways still are. I give this movie what the fuck does this sentence? I give this a figure who is hidden but emerges to save this day. I also give this, when I was a kid, I used to take my action figures into the backyard and bury them. Talk about a hidden figure.
Okay, that's better.
Oh my God,
the first one was shit. That one was good.
No,
I've
I
been
know.
sitting on that this whole time.
I wrote that 10 minutes ago. Thank you.
How literal of you.
I also give this a 4.3 out of 5, which is funny because that aligns with Noel's rating so closely. That's good stuff. But before we
first time for everything.
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think for themselves. Okay, remember the genie in Saturday morning cartoons? Okay,
this movie made like 5
times.
This movie made like 5 times its budget. Do you guys think that we'll get a sequel? Hidden Figures 2, Moonwalker. Come on,
More Hidden Figures.
this time they're on the moon.
Jason goes digging in his backyard.
Hey, it's Dick Tracy. Before we get out of here, there's one final thing that we like to do, and that's plugs. It's cold hard cash, putting it up on the numbers. Caitlin, do you have anything you'd like to plug tonight?
Oh my gosh, you guys come listen to my other podcast. I have a podcast with Super Simple called Imagination Time. It's for children, but it might help your warm heart that sometimes sinks into your tummy feel uplifted a little bit.
Your microphone cut out a little bit when you said the name. Can you say it one more time?
Motherfucker! It's called Imagination
your
Time.
mic
cut it again.
Are you kidding me? This is censorship.
Oh no. Say it one more time.
Imagination Time.
Okay, got it.
Perfect.
We got it that time.
Yeah. We were recently number 1 in the kids and education podcasts in the US on Apple Podcasts. I know.
That's crazy because we're number 7 billion on kids and education.
Only 3 people listen to.
It's because we say the F word too much.
Yeah.
Me and the other
I didn't even
hosts.
say it that many times tonight. I think you said vagina more times than I said fuck.
Vagina. Feminism.
Caitlin, thank you so much. Whoa. What are some other parts of the human vagina? Nope. Okay.
What?
Put them in jail, folks. Put them in jail.
Caitlin, thank you so much for being on. Steve, why don't you give Caitlin one more round of applause because it's thank you very much for being here tonight. We're listening to Imagination Station, Imagination Land.
No.
Imagination Time.
No.
Shining
Imagination
Time.
Shining
Time Station and
Imagination.
Imagination Time. It's okay. I don't need you. We're number 1.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, if you ever need any
Number
goofy
7
voices,
billion.
I'm full of them.
Yeah.
I
And if you
know.
ever need a
Well,
host.
oh, you guys.
I keep being the least famous person.
Thank you for having me
on all of these.
It was very fun. It was very fun. We should have you on for Twisters.
Yeah, when we do Twisters. soon.
No, but you have to do Twister.
We can do
it'll be a whole tornado month.
Okay.
I just watched Twister and
Natural-
Twisters twice.
Have you done Natural Disaster Month or anything?
And
like that?
Sharknado.
No, we haven't.
You would have to do Sharknado.
It's true. We
We could
discussed
definitely
natural
find enough
disasters.
movies to fill a month with tornadoes. But
Yeah. Sharknado 1 and 2, and Twister and Twisters.
And Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Oh, boom.
It's a backdoor select. Speaking of backdoor select, Noel, do you have any plugs this week?
Yes. So I'm on another podcast. It is a hockey podcast called Stick Taps and Stitches. It's me and 2 boys, and we just talk about the old hockey. Right now, we're at the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs. During the off season, we talk about hockey movies. So if you like movie podcasts, we do that because there's nothing to talk about in the off season. But yeah, Stick Taps and Stitches. Find it wherever you find your podcasts.
Excellent. Thank you, Nostradamus. We look forward to having you last week and next week as well as our resident third co-host. Maybe things go well, you might be overlooked. The joke is that I'm a man and
I'll be a hidden figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who's gonna tell us?
Steve.
I'll be like Lucy Gray, where they just erased her whole Hunger Games experience and got rid of all of them, and no one remembers her.
I'm unfamiliar with the reference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hunger Games, Songbirds and Snakes.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
I just finished reading it.
I invite you all to come watch me on Darth Theorist, a Star Wars channel where I narrate a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of Star Wars voices, and it's very fun. And we just reached 500,000 views, so it's pretty cool.
Woo!
But yeah, check it out, y'all. If you want to hear my Obi-Wan Kenobi voice, I do it a lot over there.
Say hello there.
Hello there.
Or speciality.
Sith Lords are our speciality.
Caitlin's like 500,000. No, your first time, the first time meme.
Oh boy, please don't even.
Jason just loves shitting on himself for some reason all the time. You need to stop that, Jason. It's bad brain. Bad brain.
Hey, self-deprecation is the funniest joke.
Like self-defecation.
Heyo. I'd like to let everybody know about this podcast. Hey, did you see this one? It happens each and every week at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch, mostly, and YouTube as well, and a bunch of other places that apparently we're on. I don't know. Got a lot of windows open over here. In addition to that, I do announcing for Super Kicked Wrestling every month at the Great Hall, live and in person, where I say the following contest and then words after that. I would like to thank our guests for tonight, and it's very important to me that you guys had a good time. So thank you. I hope you had a good time. And Caitlin, now look me in the eye for one moment here. I have to walk you through this. It's I didn't brief you on this, but I think you can get there. Okay. There's one very important question. Okay.
Is it advanced geometry?
Nope, it's not advanced geometry. It's much more simple than that. And Steve, when I get what I need, I'll play the thing. I'm gonna make sure. Yep, put your nose in the loop. And
I'm getting so tired.
There's one important question that we ask here on the show, the name of the show, each and every week. Would you like to ask that question this week?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, and
yes, and the name of the show.
I do. Oh, what's the show? I'm supposed to say it. Oh, do I say it?
Yep.
Hey, did you see this one?
No, bang on, perfect.
Yeah,
This
I
is
swear it's
our
like
little-
Russian roulette every week where Jason doesn't tell the guest in advance what they have to do. It's like, all right, I got this container of nitroglycerin over here. Don't drop it. Now I'm going to ask you a very important question.
Hold this container of nitroglycerin and don't drop it.
I'm ready.
What's the name of the show? Also, I
You
think
didn't
that
really
went well.
ask what's the name of the show. You were just kind of like the name of the show, and I was like, yes. I don't know. If
It's
there
a
was
very
question.
important question, though.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're to expect, then it's almost like an impossible riddle. Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.